it bad enough that I'ma make it as an artist. And I know I'm not the smartest, and I know I'm not the largest, but I promise you that I'ma be the one that worked the hardest. Cause I promise you that I'm just getting started, and I promise you that my skills are getting sharper. So I'ma get charted, can't be guarded. Nah, I'm the one to get retarded. Get the party started, yeah, get the party started. Yeah, so let me get up on it, yeah. Bitch, you got me fucked up, I don't know what's up. Can't pour that shit in my cup, we bout to turn up. Crank this shit up so loud, sounds like we're sold out. In front of a whole crowd, we lose control now. Y'all take this shit too personally. Everybody got a different version of me, everybody gotta be learning from me. Everybody wanna be working with me, and I feel like there's uncertainty and urgency to find out what you wanna be. But honestly, we change our minds constantly, so stop and breathe and find out who you wanna be.
I gotta tell you guys how much I hate this damn yogurt, but I gotta get through it.
Stop this, work until I'm nauseous, cause I will not quit, no, because I want this. Don't try to stop me, failure ain't an option, so I be cautious, I hope that you're watching. Don't try to stop this, work until I'm nauseous, cause I will not quit, no, because I want this. Don't try to stop me now. Me, I don't give a fuck if you got a college degree. Did you learn anything? Really worth anything? 200 grand later and we're not even working. Student loans worth more than what we're earning. Best lesson I learned is to keep on searching. Find your true passion and get to work. And better take action or you end up serving. Yeah, that's a fact. So you better clean up your act. So you better raise yourself a sack and tell the world they can suck on that. Don't come back, pack your bags. You take a trip and don't relax. You hit the switch and just attack. You find your niche and make some racks. Don't hold back. Everybody wake up, it's time to break up with the life you made up. It's time to trade up, live the life you want now, a life you don't doubt. I could give a fuck how, just figure it out. Wake up, man, this life is a blur. Everyone's got an opinion, so which one you prefer? Cause I'll give you one that's coming from an entrepreneur. Don't give up on your dream if it's what you deserve.
All right, give me a second here. Hey, good morning, everybody. We got some haters in the house early. Song is trash. Let me tell you guys, I can only play non-copyrighted music. So the music I have to pick can't have any copyrights on it. So I apologize in advance. If you don't know, yeah, Coach Prime will be proud of me. I'm eating some, how do you even pronounce this? Is it oikos? Oikos? I don't know what it's saying. I'm eating this strawberry flavored zero yogurt. If you guys didn't know, I'm on a fitness journey. I'm not on a weight loss journey. I'm on a fitness journey. I run every day, about 5 miles a day, and I'm grinding. And I'm just out here killing it. So I'm doing what I can. It's my early morning. It's what I do. Hanging in there. Don't hate on me. This is my breakfast today. I do have to go for a run after this. Bear with me. But it's nice to see some familiar faces up in here. We'll get started. I want to tell you guys, obviously you guys know how I get down. First thing I'm going to do, thank you very much. Miss Kim Jones is here in the house. Beautiful woman. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys about the transfer portal, some of the latest updates and movements. It's maybe things no one else cares about, but I care about. And then we'll get to the theme of the show, which is looking at the transfer portal, the offensive linemen that are available, who's trying to sign them, how good are they, and are they a caliber of player that can improve Colorado? Because everybody's under the impression that Colorado needs to improve their offensive line, and I do not feel the same way. I feel like the offensive line in Colorado is actually really good right now, or at least it's poised to be good, And they're not as big a concern to me. Like when I watch them and I know who the players are and the caliber of men that they are, I'm not concerned with the offensive line. No doubt in my mind they want to improve, and that's every single team wants to improve. But all I had to know, or all I had to see, was Yusef Murgdahl, the transfer from Florida, 6'5", 305 pounds. All I had to do was see him show up from Florida and not get a starting job. That let me know right away, hey, this is a decent offensive line. These are some good players. And people need to understand that at some point you do have a solid offensive line. So I'm going to talk about some transfers, though. If you look over here on the far right, this is all the latest transfers from last night. You see Nigel Laner here going from Tennessee to Grambling State. I'm going to tell you, Nigel, I think he's a walk-on. That's why he's a zero-star guy. So don't get too excited about that move. Alonzo Ford, this is a 300-pound man, defensive lineman. If you go watch the tape, I think he wore number 5 at ODU last year. The defensive line for ODU is so legit when you watch it on tape. I can't help what the linebackers did or what the DBs did or what the offense did. But I can tell you that the defensive line at ODU, there are moments on tape where they look great. Right? Obviously, Colorado signed Chaz Wallace, the other defensive tackle. They signed D. Harris, the other edge rusher, number 11, D. Harris there. He sticks out on tape. He looks great. Good motor. Young guys, 2 years of eligibility left on both of them. They're going to be in the program. They're going to be in the rotation. You're going to know their names in the front 7. And when I start looking at a guy from ODU going to Penn State, and everybody goes crazy. Everybody starts spamming me on TikTok. Please show us Alonzo Ford. And I'm looking at him like, 2 weeks ago, you guys were telling me how terrible Colorado is for signing ODU defensive linemen. But the minute Penn State does it, now that validates it. Now all of a sudden, those are better players. I'm telling you, these are better players than some of the people on the bench at SEC schools. They really are. People are in denial about it, but the NFL isn't. The NFL knows how good ODU was. You don't believe me? Look at the NFL draft. ODU had the most players drafted from any group of 5 team because Houston's now a Big 12 team. So we're looking at 3 players drafted out of ODU during the draft. 3 players drafted. That's as many as Notre Dame. That's as many as, that's more than Tennessee. Or just as much as Tennessee. What are we doing? You guys got to remember, talent is everywhere. It can be in any form, anywhere. And these players on other teams, you just have to sit down and watch the tape and evaluate them individually. Don't judge them on the outcome of the game. People talk about Colorado having wide receivers from the worst team in the country in South Florida. Go watch some USF film. Go look at Brian Battie and tell me Brian Battie can't play in the SEC. He's now playing, where's he at? He's now at Auburn. Him and Hunter are going to be sharing some snaps. Talk about an explosive player. Jimmy Horn Jr.? Weaver? What are we doing, man? These are some great players at other schools. Don't judge the team, right? Don't judge the team's outcome or output and go, yeah, that's all it is. Nah, bro, there's some great players. I promise you. Another guy here that just committed is Dustin Hall. Why is this significant to me? Speak of the devil, Dustin Hall, starting offensive lineman. He's a starting offensive lineman at South Florida last year. Good player. Transfers from South Florida to Duke in the winter. And Duke won 9 games last year. And everybody's going, man, Duke just needs to retool their offensive line, and they're going to be great again. And they get Dustin Hall. He's one of 4 offensive linemen that came in. But Dustin Hall, I don't know if he had the starting job or not. I don't know if he was struggling, but he jumped in the transfer portal after like 3 months. And now he's at East Carolina. Shout out to East Carolina. They're saving their season in the offseason. East Carolina lost all their players to the draft, right? They lost every skill player to the draft. They really did. And they lost every skill player to the NFL. When it comes to their offensive line, in the last month, they got 2 starting linemen from Akron, 2 teammates, roommates actually. Bergman, and another guy, forgetting his last name. But 2 teammates, 2 roommates commit. So there's continuity there. And then you go and get Dustin Hall to transfer from Duke. This is a starting offensive lineman. This is an FBS caliber guy to begin with. And he just committed to East Carolina. So shout out to them for getting somebody good. Since we're on the theme of offensive linemen, there's Jake Wiley. I don't understand it, but UCLA gave him an offer. More power to him. Good for him. Leaving Colorado, UCLA gives him an offer. One of the few players leaving Colorado with a Power 5 offer, or that's going to sign to a Power 5 school. I'm telling you, one of about 6, if I'm doing my math right. Out of 50-something, about 6. It's remarkable. Then we got Eric Miller here, offensive tackle. Eric Miller's 6'7", 305 pounds, bro. And he's leaving Purdue. He started last year. I think he was the starting right tackle last year for Purdue all season. And he's going to Louisville. Go play with his old coach. You got Jeff Brom. And he's over there at Louisville. He's assessing his roster. He's looking around going, hey, I can't tamper and contact a player not in the transfer portal. But if any of you guys who just transferred here want to get a hold of Eric Miller and tell him he can start for us, somebody reach out and let him know. That's how it's done, guys. I promise you, this is how it's done. Coaches are not tampering. Coaches are not calling players and saying, jump in the portal, we got you. But players are. Players are writing them on Instagram and Twitter and saying, hey, man, we're at practice every day. Coach keeps saying you're better than everybody here. You should transfer in and come start for us. And look at that. That's what happens. Shout out to Aubrey Smith. Aubrey Smith, out of Colorado. He's a young linebacker. He's a stud. He's out of Buford, Georgia. Watched him play in high school. He's a good player. And, Colorado doesn't want him, but Houston does. So he's going to Houston. I don't know. I don't think he starts. I think he's a depth player. But at least he got another offer to an FBS-level school. So shout out to him. Hey, R.J. Moten here. R.J. Moten or Moten? How do you guys say it? I'm bad with names. How do you guys say it? R.J. Moten or Moten? Leaving Michigan. Going to Florida. He's going to start at safety. Let me tell you something about Florida. Florida has had one visitor this spring. One visitor, and it's R.J. Moten. It's R.J. here. He's the only guy to even show up to the university this spring. Why are they not pursuing players in the transfer portal? They still have scholarships available. Billy Napier came out and said, well, it takes us a little longer to get admissions to approve guys. We need to do our due diligence, right? Our D&D. We need to dig a little deeper. We need to call high school coaches, get injury history. We need to just lift everything. We need to check everything. I hear you, but you keep losing recruits left and right in the transfer portal, and you're backfilling them as slow as slower than hell. There's no excuse for it. Get some other guys on campus. I'm looking here for some other noteworthy ones. Here's another offensive lineman, Zane Herring, leaving Florida State, going to South Florida. I'm going to talk about another offensive lineman, I'm sure. If I look down this rankings list, I have the rankings list right next to it. Available players. Give me a second. Let me look. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a guy who's also going to South Florida. So no worries there. But yeah, South Florida got themselves 2 linemen in the portal. So shout out to them. Pretty good stuff. Obviously, David Connor right here going to the Colorado Buffaloes from Florida. He's only there for 1 year. But we'll get started on that. Before I jump into available offensive linemen, you guys already know the deal. I have a method to my madness. I'm going to talk about these guys 5 at a time, and then I'm going to go to the chat. But before I get started, I'll go to the chat and see what you guys have to say. And as we go, please, if you're going to write a comment, you're going to write a question, instead of saying he, write the person's name. Because by the time I get to your chat, we're like 10, 20 minutes behind, and I don't even know who you're making reference to. So if you write, yeah, he's tough, tell me who's tough. Don't use he, her, him. Use names, just so we know who you're making reference to. It's really important. If you say we could use another running back, tell me the team. Don't say we. Don't say they. Give me names. That way when I read it, we're not all lost. Okay? I'll catch up in chat. I'll always read your questions, and I'll go from there. All right, let's go. So, shout out to David Christabel. I think it's Christabel, if I said it correctly. Hyphenated Sala. He says, bro, I'm glad I came across your channel the other day. Great, informative content, bro. I appreciate you, man. I've been putting this out on TikTok for a while now. for about 4 or 5 months. We got 52,000 people over there following me. We're about to blow up over here on YouTube, I promise. Doesn't even matter. Even if we don't, we're just going to be sitting here rocking with a bunch of people that rock with us. Thank you very much. Kim Jones says you're definitely killing it. She's talking about my fitness. I'm killing my fitness level. All right, what's up, Rico? CU offensive line is legit in my opinion. Shout out to you, Marlo. I believe it's the truth, man. I actually talked to Savion Washington in DMs. We talk often. Forgive me, I got to finish this yogurt. But Savion Washington and I, we do talk. And he wanted me to give him credit. If you didn't know, he's the starting right tackle. I think he's the starting right tackle for Buffalo. Colorado, he wanted me to give him credit for getting Jack Bailey, the starting right guard, moving over from Kent State. So got to give him a shout out and say, yeah, man, you did that damn thing. All right. I'm more concerned about linebacker than offensive line. The O-line is pretty good. Could also use one more running back as well. There you go, H family. Very specific. I'll be getting to linebackers in about 2 days. I think tomorrow I'm doing defensive linemen. Then I'll do linebackers and edge rushers or whatever. We'll figure it out. But I'm trying to do every position group every day. Maybe there's some linebackers out there for Colorado. I'll let you know. You'll know once you watch the live stream. You know, Willie Bobo's in the house. What up, Willie Bobo? He says, just finished watching last night's show. Epic, bro. Spot on. Thank you so much. Hey, man, shout out to you. So some of you guys, if you missed last night's show or previous shows, they're sitting there. You click on my homepage on YouTube. Just go look at the lives. Click on the videos. Fine. You can see some videos. They're pretty short. Click on the live streams, and you will see 2 hours worth of content. Go watch it. I don't care if you watch it at 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed. Do you follow any other sports as closely as you do college football? And by any chance, you post that content? Cade Bearden. Cade, I follow track and field closer than any sport, just so we're aware. I realize it doesn't appeal to everyone. I realize it's very unique to me and a few fanatical people who care about track, but I probably know track and field better than college football. UFC, MMA. I was an MMA fighter for about 10 years. I've been a coach for 20. I was an MMA instructor for a living. So it's really near and dear to my heart. And Moten. Okay, Moten. I got it. My bad. So, yeah, I like those sports immensely. I follow them very closely. Typically, I live stream a UFC fight, but instead of showing you the screen, I explain to people what's happening, what the fighter's attempting to do. So a lot of people will watch the fights alongside with me. I live stream them on TikTok. I'll be doing them on YouTube from now on. So every Saturday, outside of the season, I'll be sitting here talking to you guys about the fights and what I see on the screen. And we'll just be hanging out and doing a reaction. So I'm very informed on those sports. I do know a lot about basketball. I guessed the correct team, and I say guessed. I predicted the correct team that would win March Madness in the men's bracket. My bracket's finished in the 99 percentile. I have receipts to prove everything. Everybody watching me goes, man, this guy, this is it. I called the run that FAU was going to go on. Just some good stuff. If you follow sports like I do my entire life, it just comes with the territory. What I will say is this. Don't ever expect me to talk about baseball. It'll be a cold day in hell that I ever sit down and have a discussion about baseball. Just won't happen. So, temper your expectations there. It's not happening. Let's go to the next question. Florida coach sounds like he's making a lot of excuses and kicking the can down the road. Yeah, H family, he's making excuses about why he can't get certain players in, why he couldn't beat certain teams to the punch. He's actually trying to blame the administration and admissions. At least that's how I interpret it when I read the story. Absolutely ridiculous. You know what solves everything? Winning. Winning solves everything. So if they win games, no one's going to care. But as of right now, they're losing a lot in the offseason. They're not winning at all. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. I appreciate you there, Miss Kim Jones. You hit that like button first. We'll all get there. Here in Michigan, we did pronounce it Moten. Okay. RJ Moten. Sounds like some medication, like Motrin. Hey, man, if you're in the Army, I've been in the Army over 20 years, active duty, and I'm telling you right now, you got a broken arm, we just give you some Motrin and water, man. You got You got turf toe, Motrin and water. Broken pelvis, Motrin. Just Motrin for everything. That's the answer, bro. Ibuprofen and get back to work. They don't care. They don't care. Do you think former 4- and 5-star players that are now rolling bench players be rejuvenated by Coach Prime's coaching staff? Not necessarily, Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice, I think that when you see a player that's a 4- or 5-star player and they're on the bench, I think they severely, and I hate to use the term, overrated the player. They overvalued metrics. You know, when you're in high school, the way they do recruiting, they talk to your coach. But as of right now, this time frame, a lot of these misses in the transfer portal, a lot of these misses in the recruiting world are from that COVID year, when coaches couldn't go to campuses, when you couldn't do in-house visits. So all these coaches recruited 4- and 5-star players off of some huddle film. They couldn't go to campus and meet anybody. There was no visits. Everybody had to be quarantined. And that's why they're missing so much on the recruiting. They couldn't even be there. Think about it. So I'm not surprised when the recruiting classes from 2020 fell flat on their face because coaches were recruiting criminals and didn't know it, or didn't have a chance to go ask one of the neighbors. So it's just one of those things to think about. But at the same time, I like to, and the analogy, and it doesn't perfectly match up, but I like to remind you guys what marriage is. Like, marriage is an agreement between two people, right? Two people meet at a very young age, and they agree they're going to get married. And they love each other, and they want to get married. But all they're really doing is they're betting one another, I bet you anything, we're going to mature at the same rate. We're going to mature and grow together and build an empire. And they're betting on each other. And sometimes they get it wrong. One of the individuals in the marriage matures at a faster rate. The other one is not ready for marriage. One of them becomes more successful and outgrows this individual. One of them becomes, professional and has other coworkers and colleagues and succeeds in life. All the others still dragging behind, looking for VIP in the club. It's when you meet in a marriage, you say, we're going to mature together and grow, and we're not going to outgrow one another. It's just a bet you're trying to make. And you're severely wrong most of the time, right? And I say most of the time, over 50% of the time, I'm sure. I haven't looked at the statistics, but you're wrong. So I feel that same way when it comes to recruiting and these players. I feel like coaches are looking at these kids and they're saying, we're going to grow together. We're going to mature together. And we're going to achieve greatness. And unfortunately, some of these players aren't ready for that growth. They're not ready for marriage. They're not ready for that maturity or that commitment required to be successful on the field. You see, a lot of coaches get all this credit for the development of their players. You hear it all the time. Oh, this coaching staff knows how to develop the player. This coaching staff knows how to develop a player. I'm under the impression that player development is primarily on the player. That gentleman, that young man, that student athlete needs to put in the time. They need to go to practice. They need to watch the film. They need to lift the weights and do the homework. It's on them. And if you only do what you're told, well, then you're just going to be an average person. You're going to be judged on what you do when no one's looking, right? Not just integrity, but more importantly, what do you do in your downtime? I have soldiers that go to work every day, and they work 9 to 5, and they're doing great. And they're doing everything we ask of them, and they're doing everything within the parameters of the expectations. Like, they're there. They're doing the job. And they're going to go home and tell somebody they once served and they did well in this country and all this stuff. But there's a select few that when we get off of work at 5 o'clock, they go home and they put on their running shoes and go run another 5 miles. And then when they're done with their run, they do their homework and they earn their degree at night outside of the expectations of work. There's some people out there doing more for themselves. And that's what you're going to be judged on, is the amount of work you do when no one's looking, the amount of work you do after the expectations. You know how many soldiers I have get off of work, go and buy a 6-pack and sit down in their living room and just drink their beer and go to bed? Or how many guys get on their headset and just game for 10 hours a night? And then there's one guy doing 100 push-ups before bed every night. I can't take credit for how great he is. He is self-driven. He is self-motivated. So when you see these players get to college and they're not great and they don't live up to the expectations, I got to put the onus on those individual players. How much work were you doing when no one was looking? How much do you do in the off season or after practice or at home at night? This is why I get excited about graduate transfers with 3 years of eligibility. When I see a young man as a graduate transfer and has 3 years of eligibility, that means he took a full slate of classes, he dominated in the classroom, and he still managed to somehow contribute on the football field. I'm with it all day. I don't blame the young. I don't blame the coaches. I'm not mad at the recruiting websites. They gotta make some type of content. They gotta do something. They're not worth anything. You know what I use them for? Pictures. I use them for pictures. I don't agree with this ranking. I don't ever click on the links. You guys have watched me. I don't click on these links. I don't go through them and say, what do I need to learn about them? I like the pictures. That's all I use them for is the pictures. They're a database of pictures. I go do my homework elsewhere. I read local beat writers. I read local newspapers that are in the vicinity of the university. I will go and find out, oh, you want me to learn about Houston? Okay, what newspaper covers Houston University? Oh, the Chronicle? Okay. Oh, the Tribune? Okay. Oh, the Times? And I do this. And I have all this saved on my desktop. And I go back to those and I read everything I can. I read about insiders and beat writers way more than I ever would the simple click of a button. Oh, it's all right here. No, it's all wrong. But yeah, I just feel like recruiting websites giving players stars sets the fans up to say, oh, that guy's a bust. Oh, he didn't live up to the hype. Well, what kind of hype did you give him? Why? What was the hype warranted? Did you see him at practice? He worked so damn hard. You said, man, that guy's going to be a professional. Is that what it was? Because I don't think that's what it was. A lot of you guys go, hey, did you see the huddle film on this guy? Hey, Rico, did you see the huddle film on this guy? Yeah, man, I saw it. He's beating a bunch of kids who will never see the light of day on a Saturday. Doesn't impress me. So, yeah, I judge these kids, and I'm just saying the way I judge them is I take into consideration maturity happens at different rates. And maybe that marriage isn't going to work out. And that's why they hit the transfer portal. Maturity happens at different rates. Physical, emotional, mental, it's all there. Some more than others. So that's how I feel about it. Yeah. Let me go back. I'm down from 252 to 249 on a mission. That sounds like you just took a long piss, man. If you lost 3 pounds, that's not a mission. Keep working. Come on, man. Baseball ain't that bad. You know what it is for baseball? It's the announcers, man. If there was a Gus Johnson for baseball games, I'd be on it. If there was a Gus Johnson getting amped about everything, I'm on it. But you know what's the most exciting baseball announcer there ever is? It's the guy who does the what is it, wild thing. When he goes, oh, back, and he's just talking like it's a fly to the right or something, and he's just making it up, and it didn't happen. That's the most exciting thing there ever was? Some guy just calling a play that didn't happen? It's all garbage. It's all garbage. And don't get me started, guys. I'm not watching the NBA, so don't get me started. I'd rather read a box score than watch a game in the NBA. I'm not even joking. Michigan will win the ship hands down. They're loaded with Heisman, with Heisman winner Blake Corman. I've never heard you say this, sir. Yeah, Coach K.E., you've never heard me say it because, first and foremost, you used the wrong version of the word there. Hands down, they're loaded. They are loaded. It's a contraction. You're not giving birth. You're combining 2 words. The contraction. They are. T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. So they are loaded with a Heisman winner. Well, that's a false statement. Everything can be opinionative here. Everything can be subjective. I'm with you. But Blake Corum didn't win the Heisman. And the Heisman's generally a quarterback award. But, hey, man, didn't lead the nation in rushing. Arguably the second best running back on his own team. I don't know where we're going with this. Is Michigan going to win the championship hands down? You know, Michigan could win the Big Ten and not go to the playoffs. They have no control over whether or not they go to the playoffs. You don't know how other teams are going to do. You don't know if all the other Power 5 teams are going undefeated. You have no control over it. Group of 5 teams can go. We get one in the Sun Belt and one in the American. Get one in every single conference. They could be 8th in the polls and win their conference. Shout out to Clemson. What unit were you in? I just retired 2 years ago. Mr. Maurice, I'm still in a unit. I'm still active duty, actually. I'm attempting to retire. That'll happen shortly. It'll happen this year for sure. I'm in something called the Cyber Protection Brigade. Been in this unit for 8 years now. I work for Army Cyber, NSA Georgia. So it's some boring computer stuff. Before that, I was military intelligence and a lot of other units. So there you go. Shout out to you. Congratulations on your retirement. Michigan, best team on planet. Blake will win the Heisman. Okay. Whew. Coach KE is up in this joint. Heck yeah. Looking forward to UFC content and track closer to the Olympics. Yeah, I care about track every year, year-round. NCAA championships, world championships, Olympics. I'm watching regionals. I watch conference championships. It's the only reason I have ESPN+. I want to watch every division, conference, track meet. You don't even know, man. I'm a track junkie. Miles split and runner's world. And I'll watch every event. I don't care if it's the marathon. I'm watching every event. I can appreciate athleticism for what it is. Yeah. Help us learn something. I'm rocking with you. Appreciate it. Prod by Marks. Hey, yo, goat. That is Paguno. If you guys don't know, Paguno is my day one. That is a guy that's followed me on TikTok since the beginning of time. So anytime he comes in, he is the GOAT. When no other people were following me, Paguno was the first believer in me. I appreciate him. So shout out to you, brother. Who can beat Michigan football team? Don't say Coach Prime. Coach Prime doesn't play football. He coaches it. Who can beat Michigan's football team? Anybody on their schedule. Anyone on their schedule has an opportunity to beat them. Just remember that. Just remember that. Rico no Morantz. Morantz is my twin brother. Morantz Rants. He has his own channel. He streams and talks about the stock market. We are not the same person. Okay, the COVID year screwed up college recruiting and the NFL draft. College recruiters could really look at the players, and the NFL, too many players. Yep, exactly, Titletown. There we are. Ryder, my man. All right. Got to support you boys. Appreciate you, Moonshine Ryder. Thanks for being here. I'd rather have a 3-star hungry dog than a heavily recruited 4- and 5-star that has a sense of entitlement. This is true, H family. But you know what I'd rather have? I'd rather have a 4- or 5-star hungry dog. Like everybody always labels 3-stars as these hungry dogs. What if a 3-star has the physique of a 4- and 5-star, but he's lazy? I've seen this too. I've seen people who are lazy 3-stars. They're only 3-stars because they're lazy. We can't always label the 3-star guy as hungry. There are 4- and 5-star guys hungry to feed a family, trying to get their mama home. This is what Coach Prime was talking about, right? We want single moms. We want defensive linemen from single mothers. Hey, man. He's talking about that certain hunger, that dog, the reason to stay and lift weights. I'm with you. I just want everybody to slow down a little bit. Every 3-star is not a dog. Every 3-star is not hungry. Some 3-stars are accurately 3-stars. That's how I feel about it. Lawrence Collins, shout out to Gus Johnson from the D. Yep. Shout out to Gus Johnson. Michigan won't make the playoffs or win the Big Ten. Yeah, first thing you got to do is win the Big Ten and make the playoffs. And shout out to you, Lawrence Collins, recognizing game, recognize game. Donovan Edwards is a great running back. 1 second, y'all. Do I think West Virginia and South Florida regret not hiring Coach Prime? Well, I think South Florida doesn't have they don't have an appetite to hire a coach for over $5 million a year. It's about an investment in your program. I don't think they have an appetite to do that. West Virginia, unfortunately, couldn't afford the Neil Brown buyout. Now, I owe you guys. I hate doing research while we're sitting here and me not just knowing the answer. But there's a West Virginia alum, and he determines who the head coach is at West Virginia. Ken Kendrick. That's his name. Ken Kendrick is a West Virginia alum. He owns the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's the biggest donor to the school, the biggest, booster. And Ken Kendrick will determine who the head coach at West Virginia is going to be. What I'll tell you is I think he paid a significant amount of money and advocated for Neil Brown to be the head coach. So he's not so quick to try to fire him. So there's a lot of politics involved there. And that's just an assumption on my part. Okay, I'll let the chat build back up and catch back up when we're there. Now we're going to go talk about some offensive linemen in the transfer portal. Remember, it's the same thing every single time, guys. When you walked into this live and we started this live stream, how much did you know about offensive linemen in the transfer portal? Okay? And then when we're done here today, I want you to ask yourself, how much do you know about offensive linemen in the transfer portal? Because you're going to learn a ton about these players, theoretically. Let's get started. So the number one offensive lineman in the transfer portal, according to 24/7 Sports, is Ethan White. Ethan White, do you see this T next to his name? That means they increased him to a 4-star. Look, they leave all 4 stars. The score of a 4-star is 0.90. Okay, this 0.90 here. When you see a 0.90 and then a 0.89, this is the highest you can have as a 3-star in the rating system. The reason I bring that up is if we scroll down, they always do this thing where they have all the newest players in the portal, and then they finally have the top 5 and the top linemen, Cardell Thomas here. But once you go down here, you're going to see a lot of offensive linemen available are 3 stars. Well, I don't care what they are. Teams know the deal. These 3-star linemen are a commodity. They're a hot commodity. They get in the portal, they get offers. People need bodies, and they'd rather get some of these guys than a JUCO. They'd rather get these guys than a high school kid, because it takes years to develop and grow into a 300-pound frame, especially if you're an offensive lineman in high school at 260 pounds. I don't care how skilled you were. We need you 40 pounds heavier, right? So Ethan White is the exact opposite of that. I'm going to tell you guys, Ethan White was a developmental prospect coming out of high school. He was not a 4-star. He was a 3-star coming out of high school because Ethan White was over 400 pounds. And Florida said, we'll sign this kid. He's from Florida, and they go and sign him over 400 pounds. Imagine what that's like. It's remarkable. But after about 2 years, he got there in 2019. After about 2 years, he starts. And I want to say he starts at, I don't remember. He starts at one of the guard positions, either left or right. Give me left. He starts at left guard. You can fact check me. You'll be wrong. So Ethan White starts at left guard for Florida, and he plays great. And between him and Michael Tarquin, who actually went to USC, transferred to USC, Ethan White commits to USC back in the winter. And I'm watching spring ball, and I'm like, where's Ethan White? Because I know he's going to be a starter. Nowhere to be found. Turns out Ethan White did not go to USC. He committed there, but he never went. He never showed up because he's suffering from an injury. He's got an injury. It's a career-ending injury, supposedly, according to Lincoln Riley. And this man's not going to play football anymore. And it's unfortunate. And this is why you've seen the USC Trojans go out and sign Pregnon just last week, right, from Wyoming. Emmanuel Pregnon got his offer and went and signed with USC because they missed out on Ethan White. So he's in the portal, the top offensive lineman in the portal, but nobody can sign him. He's not going to work out for anybody. And he's still at Florida attending classes, but this is not it. He's been at Florida for 4 years. So Ethan White's career may be over. He's going to be stuck in the portal, 6'5", 315 pounds. And USC had to scramble. And they went out and got him. They went out and got Pregnon, and they're waiting on Cameron Johnson, the next guy on the list here. Now, Cameron Johnson, offensive tackle at Houston, they give him 3 stars, but that's the highest 3-star in the portal. That's the highest you can possibly be. Started every game last season for Houston. Started every single game. And I want to tell you guys, he's down to Missouri and USC. And I think he's very hesitant. He wanted to go to USC. He wanted that bag. Whatever the NIL money is that he's getting, he wanted it. But as soon as they signed Pregnon, He's like, oh, I'm just going to be one of many? So now Missouri's got a shot. It's pretty impressive stuff. All right. The next guy is Troy Everett here. Troy Everett is 100% to Virginia Tech. I'm going to tell you about Troy Everett. Troy Everett is a second-team freshman All-American. He started. I want to say Troy Everett plays center. Okay. He's originally from Virginia. He started every game, and he's second-team All-American. Like, at that point, all the Power Fives are calling you. But the kid grew up in Virginia. All he wants to do is go play for the Hokies. So shout out to him transferring from App State to the Hokies. Now, it's not official, so I hate saying it. It's just 100% on the crystal ball. I don't like 100% crystal balls because they've been wrong about, I think, 7 times so far this offseason. So I'm not cool with it. Okay. The next guy, that's 3. We're on 4. We go to 5, and then I get back to the chat, guys. Preston Nichols. Preston Nichols, shout out to him. Started off at Charleston. And when he was at Charleston Southern, he and another teammate, it'll come to me. He and another teammate, they both transferred to UNLV, and they started for UNLV. And when I tell you guys, give me a second, I got to click. I don't get pop-ups. I get layering issues. I have 4 windows open over here, guys. And when you see me look away from the cam, I'm actually looking at my own reflection in my OBS studio. I'm looking at my own setup. I apologize. It's just hard for me to get used to looking here instead of looking at myself in a mirror. I don't know. It's a bad habit on my part. Nonetheless, a little too much. But Preston Nichols started at UNLV. Good player. He used to start at tackle when he was at Charleston Southern. Moved to guard. Okay? But he's already committed. He just committed yesterday to Purdue. This is Troy Walters, the new head coach at Purdue, knocking it out the park, getting everybody he's looking for. I talked about wide receivers yesterday. He got a few. He's just getting pieces, and it's nothing flashy. Purdue's getting a transfer portal class no one's talking about. It's just under the radar what they're doing, and I like it. I like it a lot. So Preston Nichols, very mature, last season of eligibility. It's remarkable what he's doing. So I appreciate what Troy Walters is doing. I think Nichols is up for a year, and then he's trying to go to the pros. He's trying to go to the pros. Next guy, and I'm looking at the list. It's on my other monitor. I apologize. Next guy, Lindell Hudson. Lindell Hudson's coming over from FIU. 3-year starter at FIU. When I did my research on FIU, I was watching film, and I was like, man, these guys suck. They're just not a very good football team. But so many of their players are transferring out. Their head coach is Mike McIntyre. McIntyre is their coach. If you don't know who McIntyre is, he used to be the Colorado coach before Mel Tucker, right? McIntyre, Mike Mack, he was the coach of the year in the country in 2016 when Colorado won 10 games. He was the guy. Was it 10 or 12 games? How many did Colorado win in 2016? He was the coach of the year. And he eventually gets fired. And he goes to FIU, and he's coaching at FIU. And for whatever reason, he can't keep his offensive linemen at FIU. They only had 6 offensive linemen on scholarship last season. 6. That means they're using walk-ons. You need at least 8, bro. You need 5 starters and 3 guys that can rotate in. It's crazy. So they're sitting there with 6 scholarship linemen. One of their linemen transferred out, forgetting his name. And then you got Lindell Hudson here, their best offensive lineman, if you ask me. No. The other kid's their best offensive lineman. What's his name? Oh, he's second team all-conference. Drawing a blank. Doesn't matter. Lindell Hudson, 3-year starter. He's already committed. He's going to South Florida. He's going with that guy Herring I talked about earlier from Florida State. So already committed. Not even available. So slim pickings here. If you look, from what I've just told you, Ethan White, not available because he's injured. Cameron Johnson only picking between USC and Missouri, so not available. Troy Everett's already committed. Nichols already committed to Purdue. Hudson's already committed to South Florida. We're already down 5 deep. Not a single player available in the transfer portal at the offensive line. 24/7 doesn't update their website. They don't know what they're doing. Don't ever read 24/7 and think that's gospel. You got to know it. right? So I sit here and I'm looking. Now, the next guy I'm going to talk about, Jaden Muskrat, I'm going to talk about him after I get back to the chat. But Jaden Muskrat, this is the prized possession, and it's a 3-star guy. He's a transfer. They just increased him to 3 stars from Tulsa. Just increased him to 3 stars. He was 2. But he's good. But you'd be honored to have that guy on your team. Big time. So we'll get back to him. Let me get back to the chat and see what's up. And we'll go from there. So, is Hunter Dayu a Power 5 talent? I'm not really worried about recruits. Guys. I don't talk about recruiting. Sorry to break it down to you. Why hasn't Cordell Thomas been picked up yet? So Cordell Thomas, down here, LSU lineman. I'm going to get to him in a little bit. He already has been picked up. He committed to FAMU. He committed to Florida A&M University. He went HBCU. So he's already there. He's at FAMU. So he's already been picked up. Mosquito Rico knows. What did Mosquito say? I don't understand. Who's Mosquito? Did I miss something? He's going to Colorado. If you're going to say he, you got to let me know. Oh, you guys think Cordell Thomas is going to Colorado? No, he's already at school. That's funny. I thought he had a visit to see you, the Houston guy. Oh, the Houston guy. No. It just came out yesterday. He's only choosing between Missouri and USC. Came out yesterday. If he has a visit, he has a visit. But I know he just came from Colorado visit. I know what they said. Shout out to them. He's going. I thought he had a visit to see you, the Houston guy. It's sad that his career is over. Do they buy insurance for players that don't make it to the league due to injury? Not that I know of, Chris E. There's no blanket thing that I know of. What you think about Shiloh Sanders playing outside linebacker? I think he's a slow safety. Shiloh doesn't look big enough to play linebacker, but more power to him. I'd be impressed if he could do that. You think he's a slow safety? You know, I'm not really worried about the depth at certain positions. There's a lot of good players on the team in the secondary. They're going to find the ones that can make plays and play the game of football. I don't care what their names are. I don't think they do either. No amount of nepotism is going to get you on the field. I really mean, I think you're going to have to earn it. So, shout out to you guys. Let me get back to this list. The next guy on the list, Jaden Musket, like I just said. Over here, let me scroll up so you guys can see him. Jaden Musket here from Tulsa. So why is he so important? The reason he's important is he plays right tackle. He's a starting right tackle. And it's important people understand that he's getting offers from some of the biggest programs. Now, Dylan Wade in the winter was their real tackle, was the real prize from this offensive line. And Dylan Wade already signed with Auburn. Well, why did he sign with Auburn? Because Auburn hired Philip Montgomery to be the offensive coordinator. So check this out. Last season, Tulsa's a decent team. They're decent. They have a really good offense. They struggle on defense. Tulsa head coach Philip Montgomery leaves to go be the offensive coordinator at Auburn for Hugh Freeze. He's a great mind. I want to tell you guys that Montgomery knows what to do with dual threat quarterbacks. This is great news for Robbie Ashford or anybody who has to work with Philip Montgomery. Philip Montgomery is the guy responsible for developing RG3 at Baylor. Okay, I was watching a game last October. I was watching a football game last October, and RG3 says, you know, all Auburn needs, it was an Auburn game, and he says, all Robbie Ashford needs to become better, I'm sorry, my beautiful Ash, all he needs to become better is he just needs to work in the offseason with Philip Montgomery. He can teach him how to do reads and stuff. And I'll never forget it. He said this, and then the offseason comes, and then the news gets announced, and they're like, Phil Montgomery's the offensive coordinator at Auburn. And I'm like, RG3? Bruh, you got a DeLorean? Like, how did you know this was going to happen? Now, he just got lucky. He just said it. But this is a match made in heaven. So this is the head coach from Tulsa. This is equivalent to getting Sean Lewis at Colorado. You get a head coach to come be your offensive coordinator. So Auburn has an amazing offensive coordinator, a very intriguing one for sure. They're getting weapons everywhere. They got their own little Dylan Edwards and Brian Battie. They got Jaquez Hunter, another quality running back. Auburn's got the pieces to be great, but they play in the SEC, not the Pac-12. Okay. And now your head coach, your old head coach, gets to the new school, starts assessing the talent at Auburn, and says, hey, Dylan Wade, call up Jaden. Call in Jaden and tell him he could come over here and start. So he jumps in the transfer portal. First week, gets an offer from Auburn. First week, offer from Auburn. And then it goes ham. Offer, Syracuse, Purdue, Ole Miss, Cincy, Arkansas, Virginia Tech. It just goes crazy on the offers. And one offer that he cannot turn down right now is South Carolina. And it's crazy because South Carolina went into their spring game and they watched Spencer Rattler get sacked their quarterbacks get sacked 10 times in the spring game. Their offensive line is atrocious. They're struggling. And South Carolina, they got a player named Jalen Nichols. He's a lineman. He goes down with an injury. The very next day, South Carolina's calling this kid, Jaden Muskrat. And they're saying, hey, we need you. We need you. So I think this kid's getting NIL bidding going on because he is not committed anywhere. I think there's people out there talking. And they're like, man, what are we going to do with this guy? But Auburn's in such a good place that I think they get this kid. And if they do, he's going to be next to his old teammate with his old coach. It's going to feel like old times. And I think he's a good player. So shout out to Jaden Muskrat. Next guy on the list is Travis Gray. Travis Gray just left Colorado. He's the infamous kid, I should say, who was eating at Olive Garden when he got the phone call to come see Coach Prime with Bill O'Boyle, Coach OB, and go sit down and let's talk about how they're not going to renew his scholarship. He's no longer welcome, no longer a part of the Colorado football team. And Travis Gray, since he's been gone, was that Kelly Clarkson, since he's been gone? Dude's offers are as follows: Alabama State, Eastern Kentucky, New Mexico State, Hawaii, Western Illinois, South Dakota, Lamar, Grambling, Bowling Green. No Power 5. Like, I don't want to hear it. And that's exactly what they're telling. And the only reason he's even getting all these offers, he's getting a ton of them. But they're not Power 5 offers. They're right where we thought they would be. They're just offers. I mean, and it's fine. Furman, Delaware State, Missouri State. That's why that guy's not on the roster anymore. 6'7", 305. Huge body. Ton of potential. 6'7", 305. But that's why he's not on the roster anymore. So shout out to Travis Gray. Good luck on your next adventure. And then we got Danny Valenzuela here. Mi gente, one of my people. Danny Valenzuela is from California. Hispanic kid. I want to tell you his story, and I hope people learn from this. And I talked about this last night with certain wide receivers and certain running backs the other night. These players need to be realistic about who they are and how good they are. And they need to stop chasing that big offer from their dream school. I talked about this last night. When your dream school offers you late in the process, it's not because they want you. It's because they missed out on who they wanted, and you're the backup. So they don't even really like you. They don't even really want you. And when you start giving up offers from other schools that really wanted you and been chasing you the whole time, well, it's not the right answer. So Danny Valenzuela, coming out of high school, he was only 235 pounds. No offers. You're 235, bro. You're an offensive lineman. He's playing center. He's a center, weighs 235. So he goes to the JUCO route. And when he gets there, he realizes I got to transform my body. I got to get serious about my nutrition. He's not on a fitness journey. He's he said, look at these gains. And he gains 40 pounds in 1 year. 40 pounds in 1 year. Gets up to 275, 280. He looks yoked. When you look at this guy's Instagram and Twitter, I've been searching all around for information on Danny Valenzuela, and I'm telling you, he looks like he lives in the weight room. It's impressive. Then he starts getting his offers. After his 1 year at JUCO, he starts getting his offers. And listen to his offers. UMass, New Mexico State, Troy, Southern Utah, Kent State, Arkansas State. And then in August, you guys, in August, how late is that for an offer? In August, he gets an offer from Arizona State. You got all these group of 5 teams, some FCS teams galore. But finally, in August, before the season starts, now you get an offer from Arizona State. And Herm Edwards and the boys. What are you doing? Why are you taking that offer? Did you always have dreams of playing in the Power 5? In the Pac-12? Did you want to tell your high school friends you made it to the big time? What is the motivation for taking that offer in August? You give yourself no chance to ever play. So he's in the transfer portal. He's sitting there in the transfer portal. I don't know who's offering him right now. No, I do know who's offering him right now. No, I don't. He has one offer. App State. Right back to the caliber of program that he was getting offers at coming out of his community college, his junior college. App State is the only offer he has right now. Once again, I hope he's not sitting around waiting for another Power 5 offer. These kids need to learn. Go where you're wanted. Go where you're desired. Don't chase that bull. And here's another kid. Griffin Scroggs here. I watched him play in high school. He played at Grayson here in Georgia. Good kid. One of the leaders on the team. I think he's 6'3", 315 pounds. And he just looks like a lumberjack. He just looks like a hillbilly lumberjack. I'm not being racial. I'm trying to describe a corn-fed 6'3", 350. He looks like a good old boy. And you know what's worse is I remember this quote vividly. When he was coming out of high school, they interviewed him. GPB Sports did. I don't watch a lot of GPB Sports, gpb.org. If you ever want to watch great high school football, and it's on demand, it's online, and you can just go to the website. GPB, Golf Papa Bravo, right? gpb.org. Go to their sports page. Go to the football tab, and it'll have all these games on demand. You can watch state championships. You can watch previous games of the week. I watch so much film on this website. It's all free. And you can go back and watch Travis Hunter in high school. You can watch Caleb Downs just this past year in high school. You watch a state championship game, the final score is 70-35. It's remarkable. It's remarkable what Mill Creek did in the championship game last year. Anyways, you can watch all these games, but I remember watching an interview on GPB Sports with Griffin Scroggs committing to Georgia, and he says, and I quote, "Well, Coach Kirby Smart told my mom that I've got the type of work ethic and ability that they only see once every 10 years. Kirby Smart tells your mom, we don't see guys like you all that often. You are the first big-bodied, great lineman that I've seen. We don't see guys like this, but every 10 years. That's what Kirby said. And you believed him. Everybody praising Kirby. He's got to say what he's got to say to get him in the house. You lied to his mom and you lied to him because a year later, 2 years later, he's not at the school anymore. He's transferring out. It's not because he can't compete. It's not because he's not better than other people on the roster. It's because he didn't renew his scholarship. He didn't have a scholarship anymore. So now he's got to go to a new school. I have no leads on where he's going. Guys, you need to go where you're wanted, where you're desired. I mean it. All right? I mean it. Jackson Arnold, offensive lineman. He's from Texas. Coming out of high school, he had offers. Kansas, Arkansas State, I think Louisville. I think he has an offer right now with Colorado State. Hey, he's going to play somewhere. Jackson Anderson, good kid, 6'4", 300 pounds. So there you go. That's 5. I think I'll get back to Alex Harkey. You know what? Let me do Alex Harkey because he's the last guy from Colorado, and we'll go from there. So he actually has 4 or 5 offers right now. Alex Harkey, he's 6'6", 305, 6'6", 305. He has offers ODU, Nevada, UNLV, Texas State, and Utah State. Notice, no group of fives. I'm sorry, no power fives. No power fives for Alex Harkey. No power fives or one power five for Jackson Anderson. But, Jackson Anderson, actually, those offers were from when he was in high school. They're not current offers. Alex Harkey, those are current offers. Jackson, and shout out to Texas State. They keep offering. They got 7 linemen in the transfer portal so far. They don't care. They keep throwing out more offers to other Power 5 linemen. They don't care. Jackson State's out there doing all they can. All right, before I get back to the list, because it's about to get good, let's go back to the chat and see what's up. So, yes. Bob Uecker. Yeah, that's the announcer from Major League. Bob Uecker. Back. Yeah, that guy. Trevante Sylvester visiting CU. Okay, cool. Cardell Thomas going HBCU. That's great news. Yep, that's great news. He's going to FAMU. He's not naturally slow. There you go, Amari Johnson. I'm only here for the chicks and the drinks. Can I get a what? Okay, Willie Bobo. I thought you were going to try to rhyme a word with chicks. I'm only here for the chicks and another D word. Shout out to you. Antoine Powell from Florida to Virginia Tech. Okay. Just like Jake Garcia. Once again, I don't know what we're talking about. Who drank the Kool-Aid? Just random terms like this. It's crazy to me. I don't even know what you guys are saying or doing. Hello. Good to see you, Cindy. We're back. All right. We're all caught up in the chat. That's easy. Thanks for the shout out, guys. Let's go back to this next offensive lineman we have available. This is when it gets good. These are the actual, really good offensive linemen when you think about it. The ratings change at this point. If you're looking at these ratings, they go to 4 stars. They're actually in order now. These are the best available offensive linemen in the portal, and these are guys that can actually play for your school. Now, I don't know if you want them. It all depends. See Cardell Thomas here. I already told you. He's going to FAMU. There's nothing to talk about there. He's off the board. That man, how big is he? 350 pounds? 350 pounds? It's ridiculous. All right, Miles Morrow. Is that how I say it? Miles Marrow. We're going to call him Eminem. Do you guys know this kid? Anybody know this kid? Former 4-star guy. As you can see, he was a 4-star coming out of high school. A very high 4-star guy. Let me give you guys a fun fact about him. When he played in high school, he went to Mater Dei, by the way. California. Top team in the nation. He played in the Trinity League back in 2018. He was the MVP of the Trinity League in high school. Think about that. An offensive lineman was an MVP of the number 1 league in the country. We're talking, that's DJ Ungalele. That's, what's his name? Bryce Young. Same conference. And Miles Morrow is the MVP his senior year in high school. He was supposed to be all-world everything. And he goes to Washington. And he's been a backup at Washington. Now listen, there's no shame in being a backup at Washington. What they made him do was move from left tackle. This is why he was praised, right? He blocked the blind side. But he moved from left tackle. They moved him to center at Washington. Now, Washington's deep, y'all. Some people don't realize how good Washington is. Washington finished the final poll, number 8 in the polls. And they didn't even play for the conference championship. They finished 8 in the polls in the country last year, and they didn't even play for their conference championship. That's how good the Pac-12 was. So it's remarkable. And Miles Morrow, he couldn't break the starting lineup. But this is a stud of a player. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. I think he gets the most interest of all the linemen in the portal. Miles Morrow. Don't know where he's going to go. Could go to Utah. I'm assuming he stays on the West Coast. But that's a kid. There's a future there. I don't know if he stays at center either. I don't know if he goes back to left tackle. We'll figure it out. Ben Christman. You want to talk about a guy all hype? This guy is from Akron, goes to Ohio State. They just like kids that are big, man. I'm talking about a guy 6'6", 320, 315, 320 pounds. Never played. Figure it out. He's been there for a couple years. Just making sure my... Sorry, I got a text. Austin Fontaine. Shout out to 24/7 Sports for not knowing what they're doing. Austin Fontaine, interior offensive lineman, Maryland. Where's he going? He's already at Charlotte. So he's already at Charlotte, but he played 5 seasons at Maryland. And in his 5 seasons at Maryland, he went from offensive line to tight end to defensive line, and I think he's now back to offensive line. He's played everything. He's from DeMatha Catholic up in Maryland area. Hey, if you didn't know, if you played anywhere near St. Francis, you're going to Charlotte. Biff Poggi's the new head coach at Charlotte. He's the former head coach at St. Francis. And I kid you not, his transfer portal class at Charlotte, I want to pull it up and prove it to you guys. Let me see if I can do this. Give me a second here. The Charlotte transfer portal class is the single most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. If you guys think Coach Prime is crazy because he's signing all these JSU players, wait till you see what Charlotte's doing. Okay? It'll blow your mind. Did they move to the Sun Belt? Oh, no, they're in the American this year. Charlotte. They'll be in the American, which is a difficult conference. But if we look at transfers coming into Charlotte, somebody keep count with me here. There's 1, St. Francis Academy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Let's keep going. Oh, no, that's it. They won't even show me the rest of them. They got 17. That's St. Francis Academy. 17 guys from the same high school, all transferring to Charlotte. Because if you played at St. Francis, Biff Poggi doesn't care. He's going to give you a scholarship at his school at Charlotte. It's incredible. All 17 guys from the same high school. I don't know how they plan to win games. I'm cool with it, man. It is what it is. Now, that being said, some of these guys are also from DeMatha Catholic. I got 1 here. 2. And there's Fontaine. Hey, shout out to On3 for at least knowing Fontaine is going to Charlotte and he's a defensive lineman. On3 has 24/7. Hey, man, what are you doing? So there you go. Hilarious to me. I find it funny. Sorry. Let's try to fix this. If you minimize it too much, it goes away. But isn't that crazy? This guy's bringing in 18 guys from his old high school. I'm not mad at Biff. He's a mover and a shaker. He's doing his thing. But there we go. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the 5th guy here. Deshaun Woods, interior offensive lineman, going to Wyoming or leaving Wyoming. Deshaun Woods is a 4-star kid. He's only the 2nd 4-star kid to ever go to Wyoming. I think the first one was a guy named John Hawk or something like that. Back in 2002, he came out of a community college, and he went to Wyoming, but he never played. John Hawk never played a down for Wyoming, and neither has Deshaun Woods. So Deshaun Woods, he's from Omaha, Nebraska. 3 kids from Omaha, Nebraska 2 years ago all went to Wyoming. Wyoming got a pipeline from Nebraska, out of Omaha to Wyoming. It's pretty good stuff. And you go get Deshaun Woods, this stud offensive lineman. Now remember, the real stud at Wyoming on the offensive line was Pregnon. Pregnon just transferred to USC. Deshaun Woods was all hype, and he never lived up to the hype. So he didn't play in the spring this year. After redshirting, he didn't play in the spring this year. He had to focus on academics. His grades are falling apart. So we don't know where he's going. I thought maybe he goes to Colorado. Maybe he goes to Nebraska. He's a hell of a player. Got a lot of potential. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. Deshaun Woods, 4-star guy, but his grades are struggling. And when your grades are struggling, nobody really wants you as a transfer because you're going to come in and lower their academic progress rate or their APR. So, struggling with Deshaun Woods. But that's who's there. Good kid. Just, it's the story. So, we'll see what happens. Coming out of high school, he had a ton of offers. A ton. But it's not going to happen anymore. All right, back to the chat. Titletown USA says, sounds like Washington has Eminem out of position. Center isn't his best position. For sure, Titletown. A lot of players get moved out of their best position for the sake of just trying to make the team better or trying to get them higher on the depth chart. If you don't have a backup center, you got to move one of your tackles to go start working at center. It doesn't mean he's going to ever play there, but that's what they did. And they kind of just use players like that. They plug and play them. I can remember seeing certain running backs that were probably better as slot receivers. I think USC's learning that right now with Raleek Brown. Has anybody seen Raleek Brown? This guy is dynamite. This guy is Reggie Bush. And he's a running back, and they're like, hey, that's why they go and sign Marshawn Lloyd out of South Carolina. They don't care. Raleek Brown's there. But then they're like, well, we're going to move him to slot this spring, and he's been playing in the slot a little bit. And it's like, yeah, he's been out of position a little bit, just a tad. So it happens to some players sometimes. What are you supposed to do? DeMatha and Gonzaga are really good in the Washington Catholic Division. There you go. Yeah, Gonzaga. That's Caleb Williams, right? So there's some great players coming out of that area, some great players coming out of those schools. I used to live in that area. I'm familiar. I used to live in a place called Rockville. I used to live in Rockville, Maryland. I got a daughter who lives up in Frederick right now, but I used to live in Glen Burnie, Rockville, Laurel, Columbia. I lived in that whole area for a while. I used to work in the DMV, and I lived there for about 3 years. I've seen a lot of good football in that area. I don't know what the rest of you guys watch, but that's what I get down with. So I'm there. Hey, so we have some time to kill. I'm going to get away from the list a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up to a Q&A to you guys. There's about 80 of you in here. So if you have a question, throw it my way. I'm here to answer it. I'll do it to the best of my ability. If I can't answer it, I owe you an answer, and we'll go from there. Of the 80 of you, appreciate you guys. Do you have any, if you guys can throw me a like, I'd appreciate that as well. But go ahead. If you got questions, throw it in the chat. I'm here to answer just for a little bit. I'm going to eat my yogurt, though. I got to finish this before I get too hungry. But I'm here for you. Anything you guys want to talk about, let's go. Well, by the way, I'll double check to see what happened in the transfer portal, because there's updates every 10 minutes. Well, the yogurt's done. That was easy. I only had 2 left. So, in the meantime, let's go look. So, when you go to look for what's happened in the transfer portal, sometimes the way they update it, you have to know if it's something new that happened, because the dates they have aren't when the commitment occurred. The dates they have are when somebody jumped in the portal. So I'm going to give you an example here. Jaden Davis just signed with Miami. Jaden Davis, starting corner, leaving Oklahoma, 4-star guy. Got 1 year of eligibility left. He's going to start at Miami. Miami needs defensive backs. Miami, there's nothing else they can do. They need defensive backs. He's going to start at corner. They got 2 brothers. I'm forgetting their names right now. The kid from UCF that just transferred down and his brother's in the recruiting class. They're going to both compete as well. But Miami needs some help in their secondary. Simeon Harris, Colorado kid, just committed to Utah State. So once again, the Colorado kids that departed were not Power 5 caliber, and we're seeing it with all their offers. A vast majority of them are ending up at non-Power 5 schools. It's happening. Shout out to them, doing their best. Hey, Nene Davis went to ULM. I like that one, by the way. Let's keep looking. Jimmy Chris, 6'7", going from Penn State to Virginia. I hope he can play some football. He's a tall kid. Dominic Tatum, good DB, leaving Utah State, going up in competition to Washington State. That's what you want to see. Guys transferring from the group of 5 to the Power 5, that's a legitimate player. I don't care about the stars. Stars don't matter. It's how well are you, come on, man. This bothers me. How well are you adjusted to the game? Varkey's Gums, we already know he's decommitted, not going to Arkansas. They still have him in Arkansas. 24/7 Sports, update your website. Austin Smith, obviously left Colorado, committed to Memphis. You know why that's significant? Memphis actually lost their starting tight end, Cade Pryor-Scorn, stud of a tight end. He just committed to Ole Miss. So he'll be at Ole Miss splitting time over there, and this just happens. So Austin Smith will get a chance to contribute to the team. It is what it is. Not much I can do about it. Desmond Tisdall leaving Auburn. It's his final year of eligibility. Is it? I don't think it is. I got to double check. But he's going to go to FAU and going to start. So that's a good deal. I like that move. I like Lakia. We're talking about offensive linemen. Kapul here. Lakia Kapul. I actually thought he would go to a Power 5 school, or I was hoping he'd go to Hawaii because I really want Timmy Chang to be successful. He leaves San Diego State, going to San Jose State, and he's going to be there for the rest of his career. Pretty big deal. I'm excited for Cam Robertson. Trevin May, AA, going to Baylor. Big deal. Edge rusher. It's what they need, depth. Everybody's talking about this move right here. Josh Simmons leaving San Diego State, started every game last year, going to Ohio State to be one of their starting linemen. More power to him. I like to see kids leaving the group of 5, going to the Power 5. So shout out to Josh Simmons for earning his dream and chasing it, right? It's a big deal. Matthew Wyckoff, same thing, a starting lineman, but it's a lateral move, going from A&M to Cal. No big deal. So there we go. Let me go back to the chat here. I really like all your videos, Rico. They're cool. Thank you so much. Cindy, I don't know if you've seen all my videos, but I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. I try to make cool videos. Not really. I try to make sports videos. I don't know how cool they are, but I know they're cooler than the other side of the pillow. Shout out to Stuart Scott. All right, Ed Sheeran was found not liable in a copyright case. I know that has nothing to do with sports. My bad. It's all good, man. You know, I listen to a lot of Ed Sheeran. I play one song over and over from Ed Sheeran. It's a song with Russ, and it's called Are You Entertained? I highly recommend you guys listen to Russ, R-U-S-S. That's my favorite artist. He's got everything. He raps, sings, dances, the whole nine. I like everything he does. He doesn't dance, but you can dance to some of his music. So it is what it is. Back to the list here. I like Vincent Lumia moving up from the FCS. He was at Duquesne, 2-time all-conference guy. It's his final year of eligibility, going up to Louisville, adding depth to the offensive line. It's a big deal. I really like it. Rico, you're making guys like me and my channel better. Keep on keeping us guys motivated to be better in what you're talking about. Thank you very much. East Coast Gridiron. I appreciate you, man. I'm out here. I see a lot of people talking sports. I don't see a lot of people talking facts. So I found my niche. My niche is to be grammatically and accurately, not grammatically correct, just to be statistically correct, right? To be historically correct. And I try not to predict too much. But every now and then somebody will get something out of me and be like, can you predict what's going to happen? And I'll be like, okay, let me give it a shot. People ask me what records are going to be and all kinds of other stuff. I try my best. So yeah, there's not too many other commitments. Another place I'll go, I'll show you guys what I do. I go to Rivals, and I look at their transfer portal tracker. I don't trust Rivals as a website at all. There's no point. But if you go and you click on their page for the transfer portal, stay away from everything else. Give me a second here. And you can see here, this is where all the kids start yelling at me. Like somebody wrote in the chat earlier, Antoine Powell going from Florida to Virginia Tech. It's because they got it from this list here, just this latest activities list. So Powell going, linebacker, going from Florida to Virginia Tech. Alonzo Ford, ODU to Penn State. Taj Davis entered the portal. Simeon Harris, I just told you about it. Ben Bryant, talked about it the other night, going from Cincinnati to go be the starter at Northwestern for his final year. Ralph Frias finally realizing he can't play at Arizona State, transferring to Utah State, staying in the area. Cool. Just some guys jumping in the portal. I never talk about players jumping in the portal. I always talk about after they sign somewhere. Here we go. We got some signings. Cool. TJ Finley in the portal. Where's he going to go? Everybody wants to know. I hope the FCS route, if you ask me. Simmons getting another break. Let me tell you guys something. Shout out to Marshall. Marshall's recruiting the hell out of the FCS. They really are. Marshall's paying attention to FCS wide receivers. They got a guy from McNeese State. And this man looks like Dante Hall. He looks like Devin Hester. He looks like the greatest returner I've ever seen. He's like 5'7", 160 pounds. His name escapes me right now, but maybe I can find it if I come over here. Let me go back to this list. I'm going to tell you there's a guy from McNeese State going to Marshall, and I think he's, if you can find tape on him, let me show you guys. Let me show you. I'm going to give you the name, and I want you guys to look him up. And it ain't E.J. Horton. It's the reason E.J. Horton knows he's got to leave Marshall. I have committed. Let me go committed here. Not Corey Gamage. I'll let you know when I see him. The nerve of these guys not to have him here. Well, ain't that something? 24/7 doesn't even have him here. Oh, man. This is just proof you got to know players. You just got to know them off the top of your head, man. This is crazy. The websites don't even know what's going on. You just have to know. Because if I didn't know this guy and didn't watch all the film on him, you'd never know who I'm talking about. How do you guys feel about that when you're searching websites and they don't have the information and they're supposed to be factual? You just saw all those Marshall transfers. They're not there. They're missing people. But even on 3 is not accurate. I want to make that very clear. But transfers coming in, there it is, Mason Pierce. By the way, the amount of transfers Marshall has, according to On 3, is only 3 of them. But if you check my database, which means I've read everywhere, and if we go find Marshall, let's go find him. Come on, Marshall. Maybe I missed him. Maybe I missed him. They can't be that high. Come on. I don't want to do a control F. There it is. Marshall. Marshall's got 9 transfers coming in. 9. But On 3 only has 3 of them. 24/7 doesn't even have these 3 guys. But this guy right here, Mason Pierce, 5'7", 152 pounds, out of McNeese State. His dad played at McNeese State as well. Okay, this is a Texas kid. This is the most dynamite little dude I've seen on tape so far this offseason. He's incredible to watch. Mason Pierce. I actually have him on my TikTok page in my hidden gems. But my point is, Marshall went and signed Darrell Simmons here from the FCS, Stephen F. Austin. It's not even on any of the other websites. It's not on any of the other websites. Who's maintaining these pages? Who's maintaining these pages? Somebody let me know. Can't even get down with it. I can't read none of this. None of this is accurate. I already talked about all these guys in other videos. If you guys watch my other live streams, so I'm going to leave it alone. Let's go back to the chat. I'll talk to you guys. All right. So same here. I'd rather be wrong by myself than in a group of video. Okay, fair enough. Much respect from Fort Drum. Keep up the good content. Shout out to you. Oh, you know, I've been in the Army over 20 years, guys. Never been to Fort Drum. And I ain't missing it. I'm okay. Never had to go up to Fort Drum. Never been in 10th Mountain. Never had to be off that breeze and that cold weather. No, not doing it. I'm glad I missed Fort Drum. Every bit of it. First Sergeant, will Zico Traore be able to transfer still with the new transfer rules? Yes, new transfer rules don't go into effect, Tavon Cooper, until the next transfer portal cycle. And that doesn't start until September. Once the season starts, we're in the next cycle. And that's when that will go into effect. He can still enter the transfer portal and be able to play until next year. He'll have to get a waiver by his gaining school. I want to make that clear. If your gaining school doesn't apply for the waiver, then you're screwed. You don't get to play. But everybody gets their waivers approved right now. Next year, that second waiver will not be approved. They say they're going to be more stringent, right? That's what they're doing. They want to crack down on the waivers. So there you go. He's talking to Tavon here. Should have just sucked it up. Pause. Took the criticism, trained hard, and came in this summer and balled out. Yeah, man. Some people don't react well to training and coaching. Some people don't want to be coached hard. You know, it's really hard for me to cheer for some of the players. If I go back, did I close out the 24/7? That's my fault. On the offensive lineman, it's going to take me a while to pull this up. But on that list of offensive linemen, there's an offensive lineman I can't really get down with. I don't want to talk about him with you guys. I hope that I can find him. It's Jalen Klum. He's an offensive lineman. He's hard to cheer for. Just like you say, certain guys need certain, certain coaching. Certain people are entitled, grew up with a silver spoon. There's kids who grew up on third base and think they got there because they hit a triple. And then they go and score, and they don't realize they grew up on third base. You didn't even get a hit, bro. You started there. I hope you guys get what I'm saying with that. Okay? There's guys, maybe I should say they started on first base. They got on first base, and they think, oh, man, I got a base hit to get here. No, you didn't. They're saying Malik Murphy had to turn away some teams interested in him. Don't tell me that. That's tampering, bro. Don't tell me that. That's tampering. All right. So, uncommitted. Let me show you guys something. Uncommitted available players on the offensive line. And we're down here somewhere. Youssef. Hey, like I said, me realizing Colorado's offensive line is good enough is because I saw Youssef show up from Florida, 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds, and couldn't start. And wasn't in the, he was in the 2 deep. He was second string. That was enough to let me know this kid from North Carolina ain't it. Now, he played ball in North Carolina. What I'm saying is Youssef is not it, bro. And he's in the portal right now. I don't know what offers he has, but he's just a big body. He's got no drive or killer instinct in him, so it is what it is. Next guy underneath him, Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is a backup plan for whoever signs him. This is a Notre Dame kid. Number one, Notre Dame's always going to get these 4-star kids. I think these kids are 3 stars, and they make them 4 stars when they go to Notre Dame. That's how I feel. I remember Derek Landry not being that great of a lineman, and then they made him the number 1 lineman in the world because he committed to Notre Dame. I promise you. This was in the early 2000s. Happens all the time with some of these kids at Notre Dame. They have these 4 or 5-star ratings, and they don't amount to anything. Just yesterday, I was looking at one, the wide receiver. Right, I was talking about him from UCF, transferred in, Johnson. So here we got Caleb Johnson, 6'7", 300 pounds. I get it. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. I know he has an offer from Auburn or interest from Auburn, but Auburn's waiting. If Muskrat, remember that guy Muskrat I was talking about from Tulsa? If Muskrat wants to come, Jaden Muskrat, he's going to get the scholarship, and they're going to pass on Caleb Johnson. So if I'm making a prediction, Rico knows, Caleb Johnson's not committing anywhere until Muskrat makes his decision because they're both sharing an offer, one scholarship offer. Just FYI. Then we got Finn Distrin right below him. Finn Distrin, offensive tackle out of Boston College. Hey, this guy's got 1 year of eligibility left. He's already graduated from school. He's played here and there, a couple of games on like field goal blocking. He's nothing. I mean, nothing special. But you want to talk about, he's got the market on offers. Jacksonville State. They move into the FBS, right? Jacksonville State. Oh, you know who their head coach is? Jacksonville State. Hope you guys know Rich Rodriguez, former West Virginia coach, former Arizona Wildcats coach. Yeah, so Finn Distrin got an offer. Jacksonville State, Texas State, ODU, App State, all those schools, UMass, Eastern Kentucky. He started off with like Akron and a lot of FCS schools. So he's just sitting around waiting for the right offer, but he's got a lot of offers. For somebody this far down, ton of offers. Not a 4-star lineman, though. He's 4-star coming out of high school, not a 4-star today. Just not it. He's just a quality FCS player for sure. He'll be a good starter at an FCS school. He'll be a marginal starter, average starter at an FBS Group of 5 school for sure. William Parker, I don't know why he's on the list. William Parker is committed to UAB. And shout out to UAB and Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer is the new head coach at UAB. He brings in a hell of an offensive line coach. Forgetting his name. From Georgia. He's been an assistant at Georgia for years. Eric something. Eric? Eddie. It's Eddie. Eddie G. Eddie G was an offensive assistant at Georgia for the last 5 years or so. And he was teaching offensive line with, he was help coach the offensive line. And we're talking about back when Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach at Georgia. And the other guy, Lake, the guy who got fired. Matt Luke. So Matt Luke, Pittman, and then Eddie G. So now Eddie G's over at UAB, and he's coaching William Parker. William Parker killed it in the spring. He's a bona fide starter, and he'll be at UAB, and they'll be preparing to make him a professional lineman for sure. You know, I don't care how you guys watch film. I don't care what teams you watch. But when I watch offensive line film, every team has the same problems. They struggle with backside cutoff. They struggle with identifying who they're supposed to kick out, who they're supposed to block on the next level. They struggle with their call-outs and their reads. You can see it on tape. Like, you watch the game, if you're only watching offensive line, I don't watch the ball. I don't watch anything else. When I'm evaluating these offensive players, the offensive line, I watch them and I go, oh, they struggle with certain concepts. And this is at every school. The only difference is some of your teammates can compensate for you. When you're bad, they're good, and you're still okay. But if you're at a smaller school, you're not okay. Your teammates aren't as good. And the opponent, if you're playing bigger schools, the opponent makes you pay for those mistakes. Smaller schools, you might get away with it. But I see the same mistakes no matter where you go. Football's football. I see the same mistakes regardless. So when I evaluate some of these offensive linemen, some are terrible, some are good. It doesn't matter what the school is. And the reason I brought that up is because I went and just tried to watch film on DeAndre Buford. He's this guy right here. He's from Kentucky. And I couldn't find any film on DeAndre Buford, this 3-star kid. 6'3", 310 pounds. And it's because he couldn't start at Kentucky. One of the worst offensive lines in the world, in the country, and he couldn't start over those guys. And they brought in a JUCO guy. They brought in a JUCO kid who, I swear to you, his first play of the season. Oh, man, I wish I remembered his name right now. It'll come to me. His first play of the season, he got pancaked for real. Ventrell Miller from Florida. It wasn't first play of the season. It was like first play of the game, though, against Florida. Ventrell Miller crushes this dude on the very first play. One arm, just shoves him and gets rid of him. I'm watching tape. I'm watching film. I'm looking for DeAndre Buford. And I put on the game, and I'm like, our first play, let me just watch this offensive line. And I watch this lineman. He's a JUCO transfer. He doesn't start there anymore. But, oh, my goodness, I watched him fly into Will Levis. He sacks Will Levis. His own tackle, he sacks Will Levis. And I'm like, man, that Will Levis athleticism is on point. He should be drafted. No, so that's how bad DeAndre Buford is. He couldn't even start over terrible players. So I don't know where he goes. I don't know what offers he has. And here's the crazy part. I found the 2 games where he did start. He started for 2 games last year. That's what I have to say about it. Jalen Clem. This is one of those kids that started life on first base. Maybe third base. Okay? And he thinks he got there. And I don't mean to sound negative, because I think he's probably a good kid. His dad played in the NFL for about 5 years. And then he's been an offensive line coach. His dad's been an offensive line coach for definitely for the Steelers, if I remember correctly. Definitely for UCLA, SMU. I think those are his 3 stops. And now he's an associate head coach at Oregon. So this kid, silver spoon all the way around, goes to K-State, though, because he works hard. He's a 3-star, and he works hard. He's hungry, as you guys say. But coming out of high school, he had offers to Harvard, Columbia, all the fancy schools, if that's what I can call them. But I think his talent is more aligned with UNLV. I think his talent is more aligned with UT Martin, some other schools, some other echelon of schools. Definitely not FBS caliber player. Definitely not. Especially at K-State, where they take pride in developing 3-star kids and making them NFL athletes, right? Shout out to Deuce Vaughn. K-State is all about developing their talent. Chris Kleiman's a hell of a coach. Won 4 national titles in 5 years at North Dakota State. Gets to K-State and starts developing champions. Out of 3-star kids, he wins the Big 12 last year. I'm telling you right now, K-State has a great coaching staff. Great strength and conditioning program. And this is probably a good kid. But he's not cut from their cloth. He's not blue collar like them. And that's why he's gone after 1 year. He is not built for that struggle and for that grind. This guy's hiring gardeners. He's not cutting grass. Okay? He's not, this ain't it, bro. He's using valet parking. He's not the guy parking the cars. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Jalen Clem, to me, comes across as a very privileged person. And he's got the inside hookup of all hookups. I hope he goes to Oregon as a preferred walk-on. And never plays it down. I'll be cool with that. But the fact that he's taking a scholarship away from another kid out there in this world bugs me. I don't like it. There's kids out there that want that scholarship, that want to play at a team, and you don't need the scholarship. You're wealthy beyond your wildest dreams, and I just don't know if you've ever earned anything. I don't know. Now, is he good academically? Hell yeah. You're getting offers from Harvard and Columbia. But these are the guys that I have a hard time, even Ash is pissed about it. These are the guys that I have a hard time relating to. This is hard for me. When we talked about it in the chat, and I'm going to go back to the chat here in a bit, but when we talked about it in the chat, you guys said, hey, I would rather have a hungry 3-star than a privileged and entitled 5-star. And I told you, what about a lazy and entitled 3-star? Isn't that the worst one? Because they're not all hungry. And this is how I feel about Clem. Now, he might be a good kid. I could be way off. But if he was that good, Coach Kleiman and K-State ain't getting rid of him. Okay? That's the reality of the situation. Colin Montgomery here, offensive tackle. Hey, shout out to the guy who told me Oklahoma doesn't have big linemen. Dude's 6'5", 330, bro. He's huge. They get offers from everybody. So, okay, look. I've been through this whole offensive line list. That's a lot of linemen. You've heard a lot of guys. But what you don't hear is a ton of guys that are free for everybody to offer. They already have schools identified. They already have their offers. Many aren't the caliber of which you're looking for. But what you don't hear in that whole group are bona fide upgrades to Colorado's offensive line. You don't hear bona fide upgrades to a lot of teams' offensive lines. What you hear are guys who need to go to schools and compete. People who already have relationships and the inside track at certain schools because of who they know. Prior relationships, prior recruiters, and things of that nature. But I'm not here to knock it. I hope every young man finds his opportunity. But in the realm of offensive linemen, slim pickings, bruh. Slim pickings. Before we go back to the chat and I close out here, Antavius Woody. This is funny again. Shout out to you, 24/7 Sports. He's from Florida State. Okay, he's from Florida State. I don't know if you guys can see the icon. I might have expanded the screen too much. But Antavius Woody's a defensive lineman. And then we have Justin Britt down here. I'll do the last one that you can see there. Justin Britt missed the entire 2022 season with an injury. Okay, he was good when he's healthy at Iowa. He's at Iowa. He's good when he's healthy. He missed his entire senior year of high school as well. I think injuries will drive people not to want to offer you. You're injured in high school. You get to college, you're still injured. You know, we got this thing in the Army. We call it being injured since the duffel bag. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, when you get into the Army, before you go to basic training, you go to something called reception and integration. And at reception, you're just getting your glasses, your BCGs, your basic combat glasses, whatever, the ballistic combat glasses. You're getting all your stuff. We call them birth control glasses because you wear those things. You don't need birth control. Nobody wants to mess with you. You look awful. Even I look terrible in these glasses. I know I have perfect vision. I got PRK done. But nonetheless, you join the Army. They start issuing you everything. And they give you this big green duffel bag. At least this is how they used to do it. And you go into this room and they issue you your boots. And you put your boots in the bag. They start giving you shirts and your gear and your uniforms, and you're just a kid from the street. You're just a civilian, and they're giving you all your stuff, and you got to carry it on your back. You got another one, you carry it in front of you. So you got one on your back, you got one in front, and these things are maybe 45 pounds each. You're walking around, you're carrying a person essentially, and you're just following the leader. You're doing what the drill sergeants tell you to do. And every now and then, someone will say their back hurts. Someone will say their hip hurts because of all the weight they're carrying. And they'll go complain. And if you complain, you got to go to the nurse. You got to go to the doctor. You got to go to sick call. And you get a profile, like a doctor's note. And we call that being broke off since the duffel bag. And from then on, they become these profile rangers, and they always have these profiles with them. And they're good for about a week. The duration is a week. It'll be like, do light, no heavy lifting for 1 week, no running for 1 week, no sitting on your butt for whatever it says, right? Everybody can go get one of these profiles, especially if you, quote unquote, twisted an ankle before a PT test or something of that nature. Now, me being a first sergeant and having hundreds of soldiers work for me, I can tell you that I've seen every excuse in the world. But the one thing I cannot handle is if you are injured or you are hurt and you haven't been in the Army but a year or two. Like, do you know how hurt I am? Do you know how hurt and injured the rest of us are? But we're here because we want to be here, right? And then there's these kids, they don't want to be here. So they just start complaining about everything that hurts. And they're injured. And they're fragile. And the worst thing you can do is get shin splints. You sit around the house, you get fat, and then you try to go run, and you get shin splints. And then you say your shins hurt, your ankles hurt, your feet hurt, your plantar fasciitis hurts, and you go back to sick call. You go back to that doctor, and you get that note, I can't run for a week. And then you stay still for a whole nother week. You gain more weight. And then you try to go run again and get back in shape. And what happens? My shins hurt again. It's a cycle. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And you never get better. That's being broke off since the duffel bag. And now they're just chronically injured the whole time. They're absolutely worthless to you. They're not combat effective in any way. I think about these players that way sometimes. These young men, they're no different from my young soldiers. They're all the same age range. We're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids. Adults. These kids might have the same excuses. They got the same injuries. They got the same complaints, and they don't want to be here anymore. And some people have the motivation to get back from injury, to rehabilitate themselves and get back in the fight, keep training, get back to practice. And some kids are just, my hamstring hurts. And I know about hamstring injuries. I know how long it takes. I was a hurdler. Trust me. I once had a hamstring injury you couldn't believe while hurdling. But I'm telling you right now, man, if you don't have that drive and determination to be the best version of yourself, you're just going to become an extra burden on the team. I feel like a lot of these players, they take that easy way out. The path of least resistance is real. It's not just electricity doing it. Some of these players are doing it. Enough of that crap. Let's get back to the chat. Let's go see what you guys got to say. If you got any questions, throw it in the chat. I'll be there. I'll read it. I'll get to you. Let's see what happens here. This Gino, just trying to move anything over to social media name I use. LOL. Southern Heat 21. Yeah, you're Gino. You were here yesterday, man. I feel you. Yeah, Yusef from Florida just looked out of shape watching well-off media videos. Yeah, when you watch practice from Colorado, and you can watch the practice, sometimes the lens makes the players look tiny. Sometimes the helmets make players look smaller than they are because they have the padding, right? They have the protective helmet cover. And it makes all their heads look bigger and their torsos look small. But one player that didn't look small on film was Youssef. He looked large and in charge. Yeah, that man looked like he needed to lay off some food. He did look out of shape. I want to say he looked underdeveloped physically. He looked like he doesn't lift weights. That's real. You know, I am a 6 foot, 230-pound man right now. I'm 6 foot, 230 pounds. If you walked me outside and stood me next to other 6 foot, 230-pound people, they would look soft. They would look chubby. I said they would look soft. Pause. They would look chubby. We would have different physiques. Because one of us has been doing push-ups and been fighting MMA for the last 20 years. One of us has been training for a war to defeat other armies. And the other guy, well, he's been playing video games. The other guy's been going for long walks, you know, and reading poetry. And I've been out here chewing on metal. It's a huge difference. So when you see me on the street, you're just built different. So there are linemen that are 6 foot, or as you were, 6'5", 330 pounds. And then there are other linemen that are 6'5", 300, and they look totally different. One's got the muscle mass of a 9-year-old girl, and the other one looks chiseled and makes you think about where you're walking, right? One makes you want to stare at the ground and pretend like you're lost, and the other one makes you want to shake his hand and give him a hug. You got to look the part. Remember they used to say that? Hey, all those tall guys, they'd be the first ones off the bus. High school, you pull up to the visiting team, or you pull up on you're the visiting team. You pull up on the road. Who's the first guys off the bus? You want some big, mean-looking dude, right? You want some bad-looking hombre to come off the bus first. Who comes off the bus? A overweight, 6'5", 300-pound, tubby, full of lard dude? Nah. That don't scare me, bruh. That don't intimidate. And then you're not great at the game of football. I don't care what you look like. Be great at football. Well, do something. Be one of those two. That's why when I look at Vontae Bentley, the linebacker from Clemson, I realize he didn't play much at Clemson. But one thing he did do at Clemson was lift weights. Because when you see him compared to the other linebackers, not only does he look like he pays 2 mortgages and has a couple of kids he don't know about, that man looks like he's been lifting weights for 4 years of his life. Looks like he's been lifting weights for a living, right? That's how he earns his paycheck. And some of the other linebackers, they don't quite look the same. So strength and conditioning is important. Lifting weights is important, but looking the part is really what matters. And when I watched the film, yeah, Youssef looked really chubby, really soft. I'm not going to say anything negative about the kid. I hope he goes out there and starts pancaking people with that chubbiness, because that can be done too. But I watched the plays, and when I watch the plays at practice, I actually slow it down a lot because I want to watch each individual player. I'm trying to read helmets and names. I can remember when I was reading the names, I was like, oh, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And when I saw the Youssef, and he was on the second team offense, I was like, oh, is he punished? Is this punishment? Did he do something wrong? Is he supposed to be a starter? He was penciled in. He ain't it, bro. What up, brother? What up, Rusty? Good to see you here, man. If you got a question, put it in the chat. Finishing up with some questions, and then we're done for the day. Shout out to Rich Rod for bringing Shoelace Robinson to UM. Hey, there you go. You know, Rich Rodriguez, I had an opportunity. If you guys didn't know, Rich Rodriguez almost got hired at Alabama. Rich Rodriguez was going to be the Alabama coach before Nick Saban. They had to make a decision between Nick Saban and Rich Rodriguez. And at this time, Rich Rodriguez is dominating at West Virginia. He's got guys like Pat White, Steve Slayton, famous Amos Coburn, and just a ton of other great players at West Virginia. And he's getting praise. And they were supposed to go to the national title game. They lost to Pitt at the last game of the year in the backyard brawl. I remember this. They were going to go to the national title game, and then in one weekend, they lost, and K-State lost? Is that what happened? Michael Bishop? I might have it wrong. No, that was in the 90s. Who lost the last week of the season? It was definitely them. It was definitely West Virginia. Either way, they didn't get to go to the national title game. But he was going to get hired by Alabama and get stolen from West Virginia. And remember that guy I told you about, Ken Kendrick? the booster from West Virginia, Ken Kendrick calls Rich Rodriguez and says, hey, man, what do I got to do to keep you at West Virginia? We don't want to lose you to Alabama. And Rich Rodriguez says, I want a new contract and I want new facilities. And Ken Kendrick paid for the new facilities and the new contract. He's a billionaire. He owns the Diamondbacks. And he thought he was saving his university by saving Rich Rod. This was back when they were in the Big East. This is before they entered the Big 12. But my goodness, can you imagine Alabama hiring Rich Rodriguez? Then he goes, eventually Rich Rodriguez ends up at Arizona. And I live in Arizona, so I actually got to meet him. I lived in Arizona. I went to a dinner with the Arizona football team. Sat at a table and with Ken Griffey Jr. He was playing wide receiver for the team. And I talked about this last night. Joe McKnight's brother. I'm forgetting his name. Something McKnight. You can look it up. And I got to meet Rich Rod. I thought he was going to be the answer at Arizona. Didn't work out. Now, he's at Jacksonville State. Shout out to them, man. I hope they do great moving back up to the FBS. So he'll be back in the FCS in no time. But yeah, Shoeless Robinson. Denard Robinson, if you didn't know who he's talking about. Quarterback for Michigan. I think Jordan Hudson, if he goes to SMU, could be the next Rashee Rice. Thoughts? So first and foremost, Pleasant Podcast, thanks for being here. Yes, he's going to go to SMU. He's going to go to SMU. He wanted to go there before he went to TCU. He wants to go back to SMU. He found out they're handing out bags of money. He found out he can get a gold Trans Am. Shout out to Trev Alberts and Eric Dickerson. But can he be the next Rashee Rice? Well, one thing that's going to be essential to be the next Rashee Rice is a quarterback. Tanner Mordecai is such a good quarterback in comparison to what they usually get at SMU. They need to find another one. Jordan Hudson has 3 years left. They need to find another quality. Give me one of these Texas State champs. Just watch the Texas State playoffs and just start picking one of these guys who's winning state titles in high school. All these Texas State champ quarterbacks turn out to be absolutely phenomenal. Pick some. Pick some. You're going to get it right at some point. Pick some. I'm here just learning from the background. Incredible on your memory retention. Hey, Jim Vaz, that's what separates me from everybody else, man. I could sit here Googling stuff. I could sit here doing things, but I'm right here with you guys. My hand ain't on the keyboard, bruh. My hand ain't on the keyboard. I'm talking to you. It's all up here. That's why they call me Rico Knows. You know, my name wasn't Rico Knows. Somebody told me, and I wish I remembered who it was. I wish I could give the guy credit. He wrote to me one day and said, Rico, you know everything. I'm telling you. He goes, I think it'd be a marketing genius for you to make your name Rico Knows because people will find you easier. Because my name used to be Rico with a bunch of numbers behind it. And the numbers meant something to me, but they meant nothing to you, and you would never remember all those numbers. And the minute I changed my name to Rico Knows, here we are. So shout out to that young man, whoever he was. But yes, my ability to retain information is not normal. The conversations I can have with you guys about every single player in the transfer portal, I go down line by line. I did quarterbacks one night. I did running backs the next day. I did wide receivers. I think I did running backs and wide receivers in the same day. And somebody had the nerve to say, all this guy does is Google them before he starts talking. You really? Is that how you get there, bruh? Go Google these players and get back to me. It's not how it works. So I appreciate you guys for recognizing how difficult it is to retain all this information. But it's there. It's in the Rolodex. It's in the Rolodex. I'm with you. Assignment identification. I'm assuming, Rusty, you're talking about offensive lineman assignment identification. Yeah, pre-snap assignment identification. Understanding what they're doing. I watch them a lot. Yeah, that's true. Rico's a preacher when it comes to his stats, names, and schools. He knows the NCAA football Bible. Yeah, man. You know, I'm telling you, there's a guy, he's writing me comments every morning. He worked at Alabama. He worked at South Alabama. He was a coach, wide receivers coach. He was a recruiting coordinator at some universities. He knows a lot about football, apparently. His name is Steve Siskel, and he writes me every day to let me know I don't know what I'm talking about. This morning he was lecturing me on JUCO products not getting offers. And I said it's because of the transfer portal and COVID. And he said, no, it's because of the transfer portal and this, that, or the other. I said, who cares, man? I say, you know why people don't want JUCO players? You know why they don't want to sign JUCO players? It's because you can get a similar player, in maturity-wise, from another team. You don't need to go the JUCO route. The JUCO players have a red flag to them, right? Majority of them are non-academic qualifiers, late bloomers, character concerns, or they were under-recruited. There you go. Those are the hidden gems, the under-recruited ones. How many? How many? And I challenge you guys to be subjective when you're looking at JUCO players and not feel sorry for them, but just look at them and go, wait, hold on. Because some of these guys are 4.24s. And do you guys know what a 4.24 is? A 4.24 is somebody who attended a 4-year university, went to a 2-year university, a JUCO, and then went back to a 4-year university. The 4.24 player is a good player, but he's not nearly as good as somebody who went 4.4. Not nearly as good as a player who transferred from one Power 5 school to another. Didn't need to go the JUCO route, didn't have academic concerns, wasn't under-recruited, wasn't underappreciated. Nope, we know he's a known commodity. We want him here. We'll take him over here. We'll take him over here. Guys, it's like buying a used car. All used cars are the same. All used cars are the same. They've been used. But for some reason, you trust a used car being sold at a dealership with a real name on it, like Toyota or Honda or Mazda or Ford or Dodge. You would buy a used car off those lots before you ever went to Jim's Auto Shop down the street or ever tried to buy it from Billy's Autos off the side of the road somewhere. You don't ever want to go to those fly-by-night, mom-and-pop used car spots, but you definitely trust a car dealership with the name on it and the brand on it. So when you start looking for players, you trust the ones coming from a certain brand. You don't believe me? Go and look at every player from Clemson in the transfer portal. Clemson doesn't sign players in the portal. They lose players to the portal, and they don't mind. They want to lose them because they need to free up scholarships. Because they're signing 20 a year. And 20 guys a year in 5 years with 1 year of redshirting, that's 80 guys. If they do 25 a year, holy smokes, that's 125 guys. They need a redshirt, 25 of them. Guys, we're talking about attrition at this point. You only have 85 scholarships. So they need to lose players. But the difference between Clemson and everybody else is every single player that goes into that portal from Clemson found a new team. They found a new school. They found a new suitor. They found a new driver. Every used car on the Clemson lot found a new driver. There's not many teams that can say that. I've looked it up. I study it like crazy. I look at every departing player, and it's so visible when you, and I can do it on the other screen here for you guys so you can see this. So I go to On3. This is how I see it, just so you guys know. Look, man, I'm not the Wizard of Oz. I can show you guys on the screen what I do. Go to Transfer Portal. I go to Transfer Portal Team Rankings on On3. Now, I'm not showing you the whole screen because I'm not shrinking my size, but I can show it to you like this. I can get it a little smaller for you. I go in here, and when I go and look at Transfer Portal Team Rankings, doesn't matter what comes up. I click on the team logo. It'll bring up the team. I'll click on the team name, and let's go to the ACC, and let's go to Clemson, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. And you click on transfers coming out. And if you look, now I'll shrink myself down so you guys can see this. You look right here. If you look right here, you can see it's Clemson and where they're going. And I don't care who the player is. They're going. Virginia, Georgia Tech, Indiana, Oregon State, Cal, Virginia. All FBS schools. Those are all the players leaving Clemson. Now, let's go pick a different team. Let's go ahead and pick Louisville. All the players leaving Louisville. And when you scroll, you always see this right here. All these blank spots where they're not signed anywhere. They're all still in the portal. All these players are in the portal right now from Louisville. They're stuck. Now, they signed all these guys. And some of them went to FAMU. Some went to Colorado. Some went to FIU, Cincinnati, whatever. But look how many players didn't sign anywhere. That tells you they're not FBS caliber players. Okay? Nobody trusts this car lot. Not even Satterfield moving to Cincinnati. He didn't even grab all those guys. He just had them at Louisville. He didn't even bring them to Cincinnati with him. But you go here and you go click on a team like Oregon. And you look at who's departing Oregon. And they all sign. But here we go. We get to the bottom again. Look how many aren't signed. Look how many are still in the portal from Oregon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 guys from Oregon do not have offers right now. 16 aren't anywhere to be seen. Do you guys get what I'm saying? There's a program out there that does it better than the rest. There's a program out there that offers guys, believes in them, and then when they enter the portal, Dabo is advocating for them and getting them to schools. That's not happening everywhere. You can see it. But at Clemson, it's glaring. Any player hits the portal, they sign somewhere else. They're a valued commodity. They're a trusted dealership. Would you rather sign a Clemson guy or a JUCO guy? All these people saying the JUCO kids aren't getting offers. What about all the kids from Oregon that are sitting in the portal waiting on their offer? Where are they supposed to go? This is who we trust. Just saying. Let's go back over here. By the way, you call me a preacher, but I ain't religious, bruh. When people sneeze around me, I say, Rico bless you. I promise you. People sneeze around me, I say, Rico bless you. BCGs, shout out to you, Tavon. Everybody knows about them. Long walks and poetry. Exactly, Donald Robinson. Yes, you are a beast. Thank you very much, Kim. Hell yeah, Bentley is swole, traps jumping off his neck. There you go. You can tell when somebody's been lifting weights. All right? I don't lift weights, man. I lift a lot of doubt and depression, but I don't lift weights. I'm just letting you guys know. What are your thoughts on Texas Tech defensive lineman incoming freshman Jaden Caulfield? So, Cade, I think the same thing I think about him, I think about every single incoming freshman. They've never played it down in college football. I do not assess players who have not played college football. I do not care. Do not worry about them. If they hit the transfer portal, if and when, I assess them. Another time I will assess them is if they are declaring for the NFL draft. Outside of that, I don't get excited about recruits. You haven't played. I don't care. Get to practice, get to the team, lift weights, earn your keep, outperform people on the roster, get some production, get something on paper, get on the stats. I watch every game. I watch every FBS game. I watch them all off season. I keep watching them. I watch all the games. I'm not even joking. Kim Jones can tell you. She's in the chat. She's seen me do it. I pull up multiple games on my monitor. I set them all to 1.25 speed, 1.5 speed, and I skip commercials, skip timeouts. And I watch all the games. I pay attention. So if you want me to evaluate an incoming freshman, he better be in the damn game for me to see him. I'll know his name. I know the young man's name because I study recruiting classes. I know who they are. I know of their names, where they played high school, their journey. Over the years, I will pile on more information about each guy, and that's how I build and stack and get to know them. But I have a foundational knowledge of who they are, for sure. But all these players, I do that. Just yesterday, I pointed out a wide receiver, and I said to you guys, it was Isaiah Crocker from Oregon. He's right here on the screen right now. I said, hey, I don't know much about him. He didn't play much. But I could have said, yeah, he's from Sacramento. He's 6'1", 175. But I just said, he didn't play much. I don't know much about him. That's the first player in the transfer portal. And I've done 25 at each position. So I've done 100 so far. First guy I went, I don't really want to say much about him because he hasn't been on the field. I won't talk about somebody who hasn't been on the field much. Just won't. Just so you know. Nothing personal. SMU always handing out them checks all the way back in the 80s. Correct. With your permission, can I be known as Rico Knows 2? Willie Bobo, please do not change your name to Rico Knows 2. I don't want people to think it's a backup account of mine and I don't want to be associated with some of your takes, opinions, or anything you say. Please don't. How do you watch so much film and not get burnt out? Season. I'm trying to understand what it's saying. Vibe season? Oh, Vibe season sports. Okay, Vibe season. She's got that vibe. Y'all don't know that R. Kelly song. Anyways, she's got that vibe. Vibe sports. How do I not get burnt out? I don't know. You have a passion for anything? I've been playing a game called League of Legends for 11 years now. I'm not burnt out on it. I just play it. Take a break here and there, but I play it. I go for runs every day. Clears my mind. Gets me away from the screen. I walk my dog. Gets me away from the screen. I work out. Go out to eat. Push away from the screen for a little bit. But if it's a passion, it doesn't feel like work. Do I get burnt out? Yeah, sometimes I go to bed. Sometimes I go to sleep early. I'll rotate. I think last night I was on the phone and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to watch this Netflix show called Beef. I'm just going to watch Beef, bro. I'm not even going to sit here and watch more film. I don't want to watch more film. I knew I was going to talk about offensive linemen today, right? So I was like, man, I probably need to polish up on my offensive linemen. No, I don't. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to just watch an episode of Beef and go to bed. I'm cool. Just finished that show. I don't recommend it to anybody. It was a little wild. I'm careful not to recommend things. So it got a little out of hand and out of control. A little outlandish. But yeah, sometimes I concede defeat. Sometimes I'm like, man, F it. But at the same time, I'll be going about my day and I'll be like, man, there's a replay. I'll watch a replay to a game. You guys want to know the game of the year? Sit down and watch it. It's on YouTube in full. If you got 2.5 hours, 3 hours to watch a game, don't multitask. Put your phone away. Put everything away and just sit down and watch this game. It's on YouTube. Sacramento State versus Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word versus Sacramento State, FCS quarterfinals playoff game last year. No spoilers. Final score is going to be insane. It's the game of the year. I know everybody talks about Bama and Tennessee. I talk about FCS football playoffs, Sacramento State, UIW. Here's the thing. I never watched the game when it happened. I didn't watch it live. I went back to watch tape on Cameron Scadaboo, the running back transferring to Arizona State, and I stumbled onto this game. I was just watching tape, and I was like, hold up. I was only watching the offense. So I'm fast-forwarding through some parts. And I said, hold on. Who the hell is Lindsey Scott Jr., and what is he doing at the FCS level? I know who he is, but I'm just saying, what is he doing? He's killing it. Let me rewind this shit. And I watched that whole game. I've watched it at least 4 times this offseason. Watch it. Stop what you're doing and go watch the game. Game of the year, Sacramento State versus UIW. It's such a good game that the head coaches in that game are both now coaching at the FBS level. G.J. Kinney got hired at Texas State, and Troy got hired at Stanford. Stanford? Yes, Stanford. So, Troy Taylor. So, we're talking about 2 head coaches got hired off that game alone. Lindsey Scott Jr. was an LSU guy at quarterback, transferred to Missouri, transferred to JUCO, Nicholls State, from Nicholls State to UIW. I mean, this guy's got a journey out of this world. I think he's trying out for a team. He just signed as an undrafted free agent. I can't remember what team he signed with, but it's pretty remarkable, his story. And then on the Sacramento State side, you're talking about Marty Mappal on defense. He just got drafted by the Patriots in the 3rd round. The top safety, and they call him a linebacker, but he's a safety. And Cameron Scadaboo, who's going to be tearing it up at Arizona State next year. So, to me, game of the year. Go watch it. It's a good time. But, yeah, how do you get burned out of that? How do you get burned out of having a good time? You ever met somebody who watches, like, marathons of TV shows or a ton of Netflix? I don't get burned out on that kind of stuff, man. You ever get tired? I don't know. What's your passion? If your passion was women, would you ever get tired of staring at women? You ever be like, oh, get away from me? Well, my passion's college football. I don't get tired of it, man. There's so many teams, so many good things to watch. Trust me. I did get burned out trying to watch every Army game and every Navy game. Some offenses leave a lot to be desired, but I still find things to watch. I still find ways to enjoy it. I promise you guys. It's the nature of it all. So hang in there sometimes. All right, let's see what we got here. He drinks 5-hour drinks, no crash. No, I do not drink 5-hour drinks. Nothing artificial about me. I'm actually sipping on green tea, diet green tea. That is artificial, but I'm drinking something sugar-free. It's who I am. Thank you very much. You stumbled onto my channel. Get those likes up. I appreciate you, man. Just doing my best. Thank you for doing your part. Rico, what's your favorite sports movie? My favorite sports movie is Hoop Dreams. My favorite sports movie is Hoop Dreams. It's a documentary. It's about a guy, a talent scout. He went into Chicago. It can never be made again. He went to Chicago in the early 80s or in the late 80s, and he identified 2 9-year-olds. One of them was William Gates, and one of them is Arthur Agee. And he just said these two are going to be NBA basketball players. Check them out. William Gates gets a scholarship to go to St. Joe's private school where Isaiah Thomas played basketball. Back then, Isaiah Thomas, royalty in the NBA. And, the bad boys win all those titles. It'd be like following Steph Curry's footsteps. And William Gates is a potential McDonald's All-American. He's slam dunking the ball at 14 years old, and he's the golden child. And the other kid they pointed at, Arthur Agee, is just some street kid who's not quite as good, a late bloomer, not quite as developed. And they just followed their life story for the next couple of years and just had the camera rolling the whole time. I say they can't reduplicate it today because you can't pay film crews to record something for 4 or 5 years without putting out an episode, right? Like, they do Hard Knocks, but they do an episode every week. They do, what's that show for the XFL, 54? Player 54? Pretty cool show. It's on ESPN+. But they put out a show every 2 weeks. It's like people need instant gratification nowadays. Could you imagine filming somebody's life story and never putting it out? It's what they did with Kanye, right? Was it Cudi? Cudi or Cudi? When he did his stuff and recorded Kanye Forever. You finally got to put something out. Everybody wants to see it. Well, they did that with these 2 kids to see how great they would become. Spoiler alert. It's a pretty fucking incredible movie. Now, it's 3 hours long. I think it's on YouTube for free. I think you could sit down and watch the whole thing on YouTube. But I'm an advocate for it. I really like that movie. There's nothing like it. Hoop Dreams, and Hoop Dreams again. Sit down. Don't multitask. Watch it. So it's a bit of reality. It's just so unique to see the cultural differences and what it's like when you live on the other side of the tracks. Some people get preferential treatment and have a privileged way of life, and some other people are straight out the hood, and they're dealing with drugs and domestic violence and got no grades and no understanding of what college is. That's just not happening. But their talent's equivalent. It's pretty remarkable. It's my favorite sports movie. My second favorite sports movie is Let It Ride. Let It Ride. Richard Dreyfuss. I can remember the day my father rented this movie. He rented it from a place called Video Stars. And it was a little mom and pop place. This guy was renting out movies. And my father came home with this VHS tape of Let It Ride. And it's about a guy, Richard Dreyfuss. He's down on his luck. He's a gambler. He's betting on horse racing. And he never wins. And in the movie, he just keeps betting. And Let It Ride means just put all my money on something. And he just lets it ride. And he just keeps trying to pick who's going to win a horse race. And he just keeps betting. I don't even know if it's critically acclaimed. I don't know what the rating is on Rotten Tomatoes or none of that stuff. I can just tell you that Let It Ride is, it's one of those childhood memories I have of mine where I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't even remember if I understood horse racing at that time, like show, plays, trifecta, stuff like that. I don't even think I knew that at that time. I was young. I was 8, 9 years old. But that movie sticks out to me as well, just so you know. He really does something incredible to watch. Yeah, Kim's letting you guys know I really do watch a lot of film and study the game like crazy. Gotcha. Definitely going to check out the Sacramento State game. Sacramento State against Incarnate Word, UIW playoff game. I'd love to hear your prediction on Colorado's current starting skill positions. I know you don't do predictions, but I'd love to hear it. So my prediction is we're not done. They are not done obtaining offensive players. If they can get Alton McCaskill the fourth, that would be remarkable. And at that point, I say you redshirt a running back or two. Wide receiver, let Travis Hunter play wide receiver. I think he's a phenomenal wide receiver. Xavier Weaver's there, great wide receiver. J5 is there, just speed on speed on speed. So I'm with it. Willie Gaines showing up. There's just so much depth. I know that Kent State's offense, Sean Lewis's offense, utilizes at least 3 wide receivers. I studied the offense fairly well when he got hired back in December, and I went and looked at it, and I was super impressed. I've looked at it for 2 years, so I looked at 2022 and 2021. I just wanted to see what he does to manipulate coverages, to put his players in position to, make moves in space. What type of personnel did he utilize? What does he prefer in wide receivers and running backs? And I believe that Colorado resembles K-State a lot in that regard, Kent State. And I think it's a positive. I think it's a great thing, just being real. So those are my predictions. I think a lot of the younger kids coming in are going to be depth, redshirt, and develop. But the skill positions are pretty much set by what they have. If they get another running back, then it's gold. Rico, will we have you in the fall, or do we lose you to the casinos and a secret gambling addiction based on your analysis edge? Donald Robinson, I currently live in Georgia. I am getting ready to retire from the Army. I don't know where I'm going to move. I've contemplated moving to Colorado, Arizona, Maryland, Florida, Texas. Anywhere that doesn't have state taxes. I've looked into a couple of things. I have all the opportunities in the world on where I want to work, on what I want to do. I have no aspirations to really do work. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. But as far as gambling addictions go, I play poker. I don't bet on sports. It's one thing that's really helped me stay impartial, not get upset, and not be emotional about games. I don't have to put juice on the games. I don't need to bet on a game to care about it. A lot of people need that. They don't care about the outcome of the game unless they bet on it. I'm not that guy. I don't have any apps in my phone that enable me to bet. I do have a lot of money. What's up? Shout out to me, because I don't gamble like that, because I don't spend money. Could I win? Should I give you advice on who to bet on? People talk to me about this all the time. All I'll say to you guys is I'm going to stay away from it, man. For now. I'm not making predictions. I'm going to stay away from it. It is what it is. You're not losing me to gambling. During the season, I will be talking about transfers. And what I'm talking about is how transfers are going to perform. I'm thinking about putting out my top 10 list every week of who I think is going to do the best each week out of the transfers. So the top 10 quarterbacks, the top 10 running backs, the top 10 receivers for each week in their performance. And you can do with that information what you will. If I tell you Louisville's going to put up an insane amount of yards a certain week, I'm probably indirectly telling you they're going to win the game. But I'm not going to go out and try to make predictions and give you guys financial advice by any means. I just don't live that life. So there you go. I'm going to see that movie after your show, Let It Ride. Shout out to you, Willie Bobo. Let It Ride. It's a cool movie. I'm sure you've seen it 100 times. It's a pretty old movie. Awesome. No emotions, a true master. Yeah, Donald Robinson, I'm emotionless sometimes. Sometimes it's to a fault, right? I lack empathy. I don't care about homeless people. I don't care about kids who don't have enough food to eat. I'm not trying to save everybody, man. I'm feeding my kids. I'm keeping myself from being homeless. And if everybody lived that way, we wouldn't have anybody starving out there. If you made a kid and you try to feed it, we'd be doing all right. Now, yes, some people don't have parents. I'm with you. But I'm good. So I don't try to save the world one person at a time. Nonetheless, hey, guys, I'm glad I got to talk to some of you, hang out with you guys. There is a portion of the show where I try to be a human and just share my personality with you guys and talk and hang out. Obviously, it's information-filled like crazy. I'm talking about every single player in the portal and all these linemen. I do get a little nervous when you guys start asking me for subjective answers. Like, who's your favorite this, or what's your favorite that, or predict what's going to happen here. I don't like doing that. I don't like losing credibility with my audience. I don't like missing. I try not to miss. But I will be putting out some long range or some longer content in the next couple of weeks about the NFL draft. I'm not giving out draft grades. I'm just going to be discussing a ranking. I'm going to rank all the teams in the NFL and who I thought did the best and the worst in the draft. So that'll be coming out soon. But for the most part, you're going to get a live stream from me every single day. And I'm going to rotate the position groups and give you guys updates on all the position groups. So we're just doing it one day at a time, one position at a time. So I hope you learned something about offensive linemen today, and you get an understanding of how slim the pickings are, who some of the big name guys are, and where they're going to end up. And as you can see, I don't think there's much improvement for Colorado in the transfer portal on the offensive line at this time. But graduate transfers can always jump in. It's not closed to graduate transfers. They can do their thing. So that may happen in the near future. But nonetheless, thank you very much, Norman Tucker. I appreciate you guys believing in me and thinking I do an awesome job. Share the word. Let people know what we're doing around here. We'll grow slowly. We'll get there. I'm not sweating it. I'm not stressing it. I know I have a huge following on TikTok in comparison to my YouTube following. I don't care. I actually find this more authentic. I actually find that the people in here are more positive in nature, are more supportive of the channel. A lot of my TikTok views and people are somewhat, negative in nature, and I don't like it. I don't like trolls. So I appreciate you guys for what you are and who you are. Thanks for being here every single week. And am I coming back tonight? I'll let you know, man. I'm not sure. I'm going to. I still got a 5-mile run to do. I want to cut some grass. Want to hang out, and I got to cook dinner. So I got a lot of things on my plate, but you never know. I might jump on at 9 or 10. If I don't show up tonight, do yourself a favor, Marlo. Just throw on one of my other live streams and watch them again and go back and learn some more about the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the wide receivers. And we'll keep it going from there. All right, you guys, I appreciate everybody. Thank you for your time. And here we go. I'm going to let you guys.
Doing everything I promise, cause I want it bad enough that I'ma make it as an artist. And I know I'm not the smartest, and I know I'm not the largest, but I promise you that I'ma be the one that worked the hardest, cause I promise you that I'm just getting started. And I promise you that my skills are getting sharper, so I'ma get charted. Can't be guarded, nah, I'm the one to get retarded. Get the party started, yeah, get the party started. Yeah, so let me get up on it, yeah. Bitch, you got me fucked up, I don't know what's up. Pour that shit in my cup, we bout to turn up. Crank this shit up so loud, sounds like we're sold out. In front of a whole crowd, we lose control now. I'll take this shit too personally. Everybody got a different version of me. Everybody gotta be learning from me. Everybody wanna be working with me. And I feel like there's uncertainty and urgency to find out what you wanna be. But honestly, we change our minds constantly, so stop and breathe to find out who you wanna be. Failure ain't an option, so I'd be cautious. I hope that you're watching. Don't try to stop this, work until I'm nauseous. Cause I will not quit, no, because I want this. Don't try to stop me, failure ain't an option, so I'd be cautious. I hope that you're watching.